starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Tuesday, January 7th. I'm here with the OG table. We got Al, Brandon, Lindsay. I'm Tori. Let's get right to it. Tensions with Iran are ratcheting up right now. There are reports of a deadly stampede during the giant funeral procession. I'm talking millions of mourners grieving for the slain Iranian general. Now, at least 40 people were killed in the stampede and another 213 people were injured. Meantime, the U.S. military, in a huge show of force, launched 52 fully armed stealth fighter jets from a base in Utah in what's called an elephant walk. So each jet took off one right after the other. Now that's a total of $4.2 billion worth of U.S. military machinery. Each one, I believe, cost about $90 million. Is anyone here freaked out about an Iranian repercussions or any kind of retaliation?
I mean, I don't think that anybody wants to go to war. I had to put it more in context when I was saying we're showing a force of strength when I looked at one of our colleagues, Jure, who said his sister, could possibly end up fighting this war. And then I had to think, if I have family that's involved in it head on, I need to be more cognizant of some things that I'm saying.
Good for you, though.
But I do think that this is, if we're already in it and we already made the action and killed Soleimani, we have to show that we are not going to back down. Now, Iran is making very big threats saying that we will have, I think they said, historic nightmare at the very least for us. And so I think everyone's on edge wondering what's going to happen next. But our place is just to stand firm and hopefully bring them to the table and come to a diplomatic agreement, because I don't think they want the deaths, and neither do we.
Okay, last question. I just want to ask you very quick, and then I want to move on to George Lopez. Why do you think Trump should have included more people in the conversation before assassinating the #2 person in Iran?
Well, I think the goal was to counter anything that they were doing to Americans. So the last American to die in Iran was in December. And I think we still haven't got the intelligence of what happened in that meeting that some Democrats say they weren't included. I don't know if it was a bickering or fighting and he decided to put the people he trusted that he knew it wouldn't leak out to, but some decision was made that we needed to go in there and kill this man, because he could have got killed on many presidents' watches.
Khashoggi was killed and no one did anything with Saudi Arabia. He's a Washington Post reporter. We did nothing.
Yeah.
All right, well. Okay.
Yeah, that means
okay. No, but I feel you. I mean, I'm back and forth to here, but I want to get to this. Comedian George Lopez is facing a possible call from the Secret Service over this comment he made on Instagram about an $80 million bounty put on President Trump. Lopez joked, "We'll do it for half." Now, TMZ reports the Secret Service is aware and are working to see if it constitutes a legitimate threat. You're our comedian. Is this joke too far?
The thing with jokes is people are going to have different opinions about it. That's the whole point of jokes. A lot of people will say that this joke was too far. People will say this joke didn't go far enough. My issue is like because we have something to compare it to now, because we do have the Kathy Griffin situation that I believe was about 3 years ago now, where she held the bloody severed Trump head up, and she did face sanctions from the Secret Service. I believe she might still be on the no-fly list. I mean, it really did disrupt her life, but I mean, that was a pretty graphic photo. This seemed like a joke, and whether no matter how you feel about our president or you feel about the joke, I do think that it would be a fool's errand to waste our time. We have clearly much bigger issues. If the joke turned you off so much, you're probably not a George Lopez fan anyway. So let's leave it alone and let's not attack our comics.
I understand that, Al, but at the same time, you can kind of understand why they're doing this, especially at a heightened time in our American culture right now, with us potentially going to war. And if you think about it, it makes sense in the way of, remember when we were having all the mass shootings, a couple of months ago, and then the little 15-year-old kid they arrested because he told someone, "I'll go to your school and shoot it up," over a video game. Remember that? So I can see them doing this to some sort of celebrity because they're trying to make some sort of example out of a George Lopez.
But do we have a plausible threat that George Lopez is going to do this?
No, absolutely not.
Well,
Yeah, absolutely not.
I think that we can't in the same breath say this is such a serious issue and almost have a table full of people who wouldn't want us to go to war, and then also say if a comedian jokes about it, then we're going to laugh about it, because it's really not funny that there's an $80 million bounty on our president of our country's head, whether you like him or not. It's a true fact that reportedly this money was collected from everyone in Iran who wanted to donate to this cause to kill our president.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And that's like a pretty serious situation that we're in.
Would you say that this off limits for late night then?
Yeah, I think the president
Stephen
itself,
Colbert, everybody, no one can speak about this?
When you talk about killing the president, and I was against Kathy Griffin, you've gone too far, because at no point can they take it as a joke. Secret Service doesn't take jokes. They take it as serious threats. So I agree with you on this one. Let us know what you think. Well, Megan.
And really quickly, I did want to pull this up. Don't forget, we are dealing with a president that did sue Bill Maher over a joke that he made a few years ago when Bill Maher compared him to orangutan, and our president did sue him. I believe he dropped that lawsuit. So, I mean, there is precedent for all this, whether it's Kathy Griffin or Bill Maher, you know, so he has gone after comics before.
He absolutely has. Well, Megyn Kelly is going viral because of a Twitter back and forth with Colin Kaepernick over the killing of the Iranian general. Let me tell you the story. On Saturday, Kaepernick tweeted, "There's nothing new about American terrorist attacks against black and brown people for the expansion of American imperialism." Well, Megyn Kelly tweeted back, "Because everything is racist. Everything. Even fighting back against terrorists who kill Americans." Well, that's when filmmaker Ava DuVernay jumped in, telling Megyn, "Shame on you." Kelly replied, "No, I will not be shamed over calling out bold-bleep claims of racism, which undermine the legitimate claims. Killing a terrorist is not about skin color, it's about protecting our country." Well, that's when DuVernay replied with this, saying, "Educate yourself before you talk about racism and legitimate claims. You sound like what you are, ignorant, attention-seeking, and desperate. That will be all." So what do you all think about this? Brandon, you know Kaepernick from the NFL.
Yeah, and you know, it's on with Kaepernick's brand, you know, because he's always in a way trying to stick it to the man. And this is a part of American history that not a lot of people know about when I'm talking about American imperialism. But when you go against the American patriot, which Megyn Kelly is, you're going to have that backlash. And it's not just a Colin Kaepernick. You remember back in 2003 when the Dixie Chicks came and said that they were against the Iraq War.
They're embarrassed about
that was petro-imperialism because it was about oil. It wasn't about weapons of mass destruction. So when you think of that whole country, in some country songs, they're talking about America going in places and kicking people's butts. That's just that American patriot way, and we're not going to get anything done with those two going back and forth.
There's no
like
conversation.
That. There's
really.
absolutely no conversation. There's another line drawn into the sand.
It's almost like you have to agree with one or the other, and I think there's room for conversation.
Okay,
I think that
fair.
it coming from Kaepernick, who's such a polarizing figure, and then on the other side coming from Megyn Kelly, who is not really on the right side of race issues at the current moment. You know, that's a weird argument to have. And so I think that her asking the question is a question that a lot of people had. Is killing somebody who we look at as someone who killed several Americans, put bombs in the hands of people that have killed our troops, worth killing?
Right.
You know, was it that big of a deal, or should we be happy about this?
See, I didn't see it as racism. I saw it as poor strategy, just poor, impulsive strategy without including enough of the intel community.
But a lot of people are asking online, and I'll jump in on this, then if we're going to kill the Iran's #2, then why shake hands with Kim? Why Kim Jong-un? Why shake hands and call Putin a really good guy? They've killed as well. You can consider them terrorists as well.
Yeah.
Why not drop a bomb, you know?
I mean, the question is, when was the last time we've dropped a bomb on any people that weren't people of color? And if you can give me that answer without looking in your phone, then I honestly don't know. And
so you think Kaepernick has a point of view here?
He's definitely got a point of view, and whether you like it or not, you're not going to like him. But I think what we're doing, and you see the narrative and how we constantly changes, we're talking about going to war with Iran, and our first two stories have been about brown men. They've been about George Lopez, and they've been about Colin Kaepernick. I'm sure Obama will be worked in here at some point. But it's a constant like, hey, dangle the car keys over here. So it'll be next. LeBron will be next. There's a systematic way to do this.
Wow, well, very interesting. Well, TV's most popular judge, Judge Judy, has backed a president for the very first time, and it's Michael Bloomberg. So check out this new TV ad in his favor.
Mike Bloomberg has done amazing things and will be a truly great president. No one comes close to Mike Bloomberg's executive achievement, government experience, and impactful philanthropy. His steady leadership will unite our country and bring us through these very challenging times.
Okay, so I don't know if you knew this. I didn't, and I was mocked mercilessly. Judge Judy's impact on the daytime community and also the viewers that vote is immeasurable. Like, she is the Oprah. She is the Oprah of, like, judges.
It doesn't feel like it
well
because
said.
she's a judge.
And that should be the last thing you ever say on the show, and you just walk away.
I didn't know her ratings were that big consistently for like 23 years.
23 years, and she's a judge, somebody who we trust. She tells right from wrong in the courtroom, so her opinion matters, especially when most of the world who's home in the daytime is watching her.
But it's her political opinion. Do you think you automatically, like, everybody loves Judge Judy, but as soon as they say, how do you feel about abortion? Whatever comes out of her mouth next, she's going to have her fan base.
What happened when Oprah said she supported Obama? I think it doesn't matter. I don't know how to calculate that exactly, but I think that it did.
They say it was approximately 1 million votes that one sentence got Obama.
Right, and Judge Judy, she's just saying that this guy might have the most bipartisan support. You know, he's an actual billionaire, somebody who can rally both sides and who has policy and strategy and philanthropy on his side.
You could do worse than having Judge Judy on your side.
That's right.
You know what else you could have?
What's that?
New study, and it has found that bustier women, thank you very much, suffer from colds longer than women with smaller cup sizes. Oh, look at that. All right, well, the reason has to do with leptin, a hormone hormone found in fat cells in the breasts that reduce the body's ability to fight off illnesses. So tell us the scale again, Lindsay. If you have an A cup, tell us.
I think you'll be sick for 3 days, and if you have an F cup, you shall be sick for 8 days.
It's like a month for me. All
So
right.
I'll be sick for half a day.
I'll be sick for a fortnight and a half. No, it's interesting because you're blessed with that, but would you rather have shorter colds or a bigger décolletage?
Maybe we should make a poll for the next.
I mean,
ask people what they think online. Somebody jump in. The guys are staying away.
Is this a thing that has been spoken about?
No, I've never heard
Have you
this.
ever heard this?
No, have you?
No, it's my first time.
No.
I thought, oh, never mind.
You're the woman. You won't get in trouble.
No,
I'll get fired.
I heard studies about like back issues or something like that. Yeah.
No, a lot of people in my family have beautiful natural breasts, but they are very uncomfortable. There's been breast.
Stop using your hands.
I'm sorry.
You know? Yeah.
I'm sorry, but when you want to have a breast it's not an augmentation. It's the opposite.
Right.
It helps with back, with shoulders reduction. It can make the whole body just feel a lot better. So
I mean, you're carrying a lot. It puts a lot of pressure on your spine. So I mean, but I don't know how it relates to colds.
I don't either, but I guess that's
the cold that starts in your back and then works its way.
My back, my neck. All right.
That's not appropriate.
Coming up, we're talking with Michelle Monaghan, the star of the new religious thriller Messiah on Netflix. Why it's one of the most provocative shows ever made. I did hear this is really good show. And you, the viewer, you're our fifth host. Should learning about the LGBTQ community be mandatory in middle school? We're sharing your comments on the controversial curriculum coming up next.
We're looking.
Hi, DBL Nation. Happy Tuesday. Kelly Schubert here with the DBL Digital team. Travis, the camera guy, and I were just talking about The Bachelor. We'll be breaking down what happened on last night's episode, and we'll make sure to give you a spoiler alert before we do that, just in case you haven't watched yet. But we were talking about that, and we want to know, we will update you on what happened, because a lot of juicy stuff went down. Let's go to the desk. Hey, guys, do you watch The Bachelor?
No.
Okay, well, let's move on to a different conversation then.
But I do think that Brandon should apply. Oh, no, he's in a relationship now, but if he was single, I think he'd be a good bachelor. Don't you think he would be good on the show? It would be hilarious to watch.
Now that he has a girlfriend, I touch it after you do it.
Oh, well, he missed his calling in life.
Actually, I was casted to be on The Bachelorette twice. I turned him down twice.
You were?
Like 2 or 3. One time it was like 2 days before I was supposed to leave. The next time was a week before I was supposed to leave.
What?
Because the second time I got the Giants gig, so I moved back out to New Jersey.
Are you guys listening to this? He was cast on The Bachelorette.
We've done this before.
Oh, yeah, we know this about him.
Yes,
Have you met his Milan watch model walk? He modeled in Milan.
I saw him in BT
Not in
rip the
Milan.
runway.
Montreal. Close enough.
And I saw him
Yeah,
rip the BT
Montreal's
runway.
cool until you start with Milan.
And then it's like,
Oh my dang, man. Let's say Minnesota.
I'm on Fashion Week.
Let's start with Minneapolis, and then we bump up to Montreal.
Sorry, Brandon, someone said this. Xtina5280. Brandon, I appreciate your Facebook career and sister story. I implore you to watch Hawkeye Wave. It's a Disney Spirit Award video, including the speeches at the end. So I'll send you that if you want.
XOOX says Tori don't sing that song. Why not XOOX? Tell us.
Yeah, you got
It is? That's inappropriate. You can't say the next
Thank you,
line.
Xtina. I'll check it
I have
out.
no
Thank you,
taste in music.
Xtina.
I like Taylor
The next
Swift.
line after that is worse than anything we hear in the morning while we're getting ready.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Hawkeye Wave.
Okay. I'll sing
It's
a
pretty
better story.
specific.
The Rainbow Connection, the Lovers, the Dreamers.
So in this thing with Judge Judy,
XOX.
she talks about stop and frisk because Zoe Rose just added Stephen Hill. She says stop and frisk, the Central Five, etc. Talking about Bloomberg.
He's got to address it.
But I'd like to see him do something about it.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for Fifth Host, and soon all New Jersey students will be required to learn about the history and impact. Remember, I said that, history and impact of the LGBTQ community. The curriculum goes into effect statewide in the fall and will be mandatory starting in middle school. Education officials say this will boost awareness and inclusivity, but some parents are concerned it will lead to unnecessary conversations about sex. So, DBL Nation, should LGBTQ studies be mandatory? Lindsay, let's hit it.
Can you talk about sex too much with your kids?
I was going to say, I don't know what the problem with talking about sex in middle school is either.
Sorry, Lindsay.
Okay, Desiree from Facebook says, I'm in full support of the LGBTQ community, but I have to say this makes me feel a certain way. Black history is not being taught in schools and is definitely not required by law. I feel a step was missed or needs to be added. For sure, I think the Black history should be taught in all schools, and I think we should look at everything across the gamut of strides that were made in the Black community as well as the LGBT community. I think what they're talking about in this implementation in Newark or in Jersey as a whole is talking about the historical things that have been strides in the gay and lesbian community. So I think that it's important to know, like Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed and how that whole process took place so people understand and not to repeat the history of our country.
Oh, there you go, Lindsay. Christina from Facebook says, this has no business being taught in schools. School is for teaching academic essentials. Let's focus on setting students up for their careers and to join the workforce. Krista, I believe that this is setting kids up because the more you know, the more knowledge you have, the more you can interact with people. Because we're talking about inclusion in 2020. People want to be recognized. So if you're LGBTQ, you want to know who has given all types of improvements to American life in American ways. So I just think of if let's say people who are plus size, they want to be included. People who are brown, they want to be included. So why not LGBTQ?
All right. Well said. Barb from Facebook says, history books are centered around the perspective of white males. It's time to include the perspective and experience of all minorities. And, it's no secret that we do this show a couple times a day. And I was listening to Tori saying that her professor said that history is written by the winners. And I actually listened to history podcasts. Wow, nerd alert. But I'm fascinated by it and by different people's motivations and why things happen. And you cannot tell the history of this world without including the LGBTQ community. It is impossible. It's a fool's errand. So why do it? We have the information. Let's teach it to our kids and let them figure it out for themselves.
That's right. Well, Dimitri from Facebook says, I think it's more important for students to learn life skills like entrepreneurship, cooking, parenting, hygiene, mental health, and financial management. Let me respond, Dimitri. I do understand what you mean, and I want home ec to come back because I would have liked to know how to bake a chicken at some point in my life.
It's called Blue Apron.
I know. Shut up. Here we go. I will tell you this, though. A lot of my gay friends would have had better life skills had they been taught their history and their representation in this world. They would not have self-harmed. They would not have gone out and maybe done things that weren't great for them because no one taught them they are a part of this world, they're part of our history, and they matter. That is an important life skill. Coming up on DBL, I'm talking with the star of the thought-provoking new Netflix show Messiah, why it's not like anything you've seen before when DBL returns.
New information today on the devastating Australian wildfires. 24 people are charged with deliberately setting fires there. Yes, you heard me right. That means they started the fires on purpose. The death toll there continues to rise with more than 25 people killed already. Not to mention the animals who have died. Officials estimate that number could be in the millions. Now I want to show you some intense video coming in today from the Australian Air Force. Take a look at the view from the cockpit. You can see an eerie orange glow from the flames. Australia's 9 News reports the plane was trying to reach one of the hardest hit towns, but the smoke prevented the crew from doing so. Now I want to show you a map just released by ABC News. The superimposed view of Australia over the U.S. shows how much of our country would be on fire if you compare it to what's happening there. DBL Nation, if you want to help, we'll put the information to donate on our social platforms. This has been Fast Blast for you. As always, I'll update you on any breaking news that comes in throughout the shows, and of course, I'll keep you updated on the Australia wildfires. Bye now.
The Consumer Electronics Show is underway in Las Vegas, but this annual event for tech lovers is no longer where you see the big companies hold influential product launches, but it is the spot to spy the big new trends in tech. Let's connect the dots. While CES is still the place companies like Charmin reveal their toilet paper delivering robot, the big boys in tech like Apple, Amazon, Google all unveil their latest products at their own events. But there are still trends to spot, like even sharper TVs. Did you just shell out for a top-of-the-line 4K TV for Christmas? Well, now 8K television is making its debut at CES. The LG model features 4 times as many pixels as 4K, and you've got to admit, that's a lot of pixels. And Samsung is debuting a TV that can go vertical to make it easier to watch social media videos. Apparently that's easier than getting people to shoot horizontal video with their phones. A lot of buzz this year at CES is about 5G. While it can help you download a movie a lot faster, the experts say it's a real game changer for more important things.
Welcome back to DBL. Now that Friends is officially gone from Netflix, sad tear, you need a new show to binge. So you're in luck because the streaming service just added Messiah. It's everywhere on my Netflix. It is getting so much good press. It stars Michelle Monaghan. You might know her from the Mission Impossible movies and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Well, can a show about religion and politics not offend people? Michelle thinks so. Check it out. Welcome, Michelle, to Daily Blast Live. Now, the holidays are over, but you're looking super festive, as is my lipstick. But we do have to ask, there's always a discussion about whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie. But we want to know your opinion. Is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang a Christmas movie?
It is.
Thank you.
It is a Christmas movie.
Okay, thank you.
We didn't mean it for it to be a Christmas movie,
So
but it
it
is. You know, it's made the Christmas list for the last few years now. It's a fun Christmas movie.
Good. We got your seal of approval. I'm putting it in the list. So let's talk about your new Netflix show, Messiah. I'm super interested.
We don't know who he's associated with. He could be creating an army, or he could be leading them to their death.
Are you worried that a show about a new Messiah could actually offend religious viewers, especially since you starred in The Path on Hulu, which was all about a cult? So you seemingly pick these bold religious shows.
I'm so excited about this series specifically because it does represent a multitude of perspectives. You know, this isn't a series that purports to be biased over one religious or one belief system over the other. In fact, it's all about looking inward and about your own projections into the world. You know, one of the major drivers for me to do the show was that it was provocative and not offensive. I would never do anything that I felt would offend any group of people ever. So the character actually never calls himself the Messiah. It's everybody else's projections of him.
Interesting.
And I think that's really telling.
All right, Michelle, what is the best way to watch Messiah? Should we binge it? Should we go slow? Should we watch it with friends, alone?
I think one of the most important things that you can do with this show is to watch it with other people because it is provoking a conversation and a much needed conversation. I think we can all agree that we live in really divisive times. I think the most important thing is it allows the viewers to put themselves in someone else's shoes across the world.
Which is why I like to binge watch shows that at least have some substance. And you're a good picker. Does that make sense? I think you're a good picker.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You grew up in a tiny Iowa town. Who did you act alongside that made you just like, oh my gosh, this is the most starstruck I've ever been?
I had one scene with Richard Gere in one of my very first films called Unfaithful. And I remember, you know, we finished my first day and Richard Gere gave me the thumbs up. And I still to this day, I'm like, Richard Gere gave me the thumbs up.
Dude, that's
you know,
awesome.
and at that point, I wasn't quite sure if it was something that I wanted to pursue for sure, but I was like, well, if Richard Gere is giving me
It's good enough
the
for
thumbs
Gere.
up, I'm going to give it a shot at least.
Totally, that's
right?
amazing. Great story.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being a good picker and a smart woman. Thanks again.
Thank you, Tori.
Thumbs up back at you, Michelle. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty Blast. I'm Jeray Banks, but you might know me at Jeray for the Slay on all social media platforms. So today we're talking about skin that slays. And today's question actually came from a viewer who asked, how do I create a skincare regimen? Now, this is actually really popular, guys. A lot of people don't know how to create their skincare regimen or routine. So I put together a simple 6-step for a twice-a-day skincare routine, okay? Now, for morning or daytime, you wanna start your day off with cleansing / toning. Now, I put a slash there because not everyone needs to overly cleanse their skin morning and night. Some people are better off just toning in the morning. With doing more of a cleanse or tone in the morning, you want to make sure that you're not over-processing your skin in the daytime. This is going to mean that your skin feels dry or overly irritated when you cleanse in the morning. Maybe when you're doing that, you instead want to move over to a toner. So step 1 is cleanse or tone in the morning. Figure out what your skin likes better. Now step 2 is going to be applying an eye cream. My favorite for daytime is a tinted eye cream. And these guys are great for making sure that you're concealing slightly without having to wear full concealer underneath your eye. Sometimes we're just going day to day or running to the grocery store real quick and you want that quick pick-me-up. Now, number 3 is going to be utilizing a serum in your skincare routine. These guys are great for really giving you that vitamin of nutrient that you need for that change in your skin. So sometimes you're using a retinol, sometimes a vitamin C, or sometimes a vitamin E serum to really boost up your skin regimen in general. Second to last, we're going to be looking at a moisturizer, something to really emulsify and hydrate your skin to make sure that your skin is looking its best and most hydrated that it can possibly look and be and feel that way too. And last but not least, you want to go ahead and put on some SPF for your daytime. Now this can be in your daytime moisturizer, but the best way to have some sun protection is going to be utilizing a separate SPF. So some great ones out there is the Pierre Thomas Roth powder, maybe Skin Science, and a lot more out there. Now, if you guys have more questions, feel free to write in at Jure for the Slay on all social media platforms. And while you're there, go ahead and follow, click a like or two, and I'll holla back at you, boo. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back to DBL. Oh, there's Bert.
Hey, Bert.
Hey, Bert. We love you, Bert. We love sharing your comments. There he is again. Al, what do you have for us?
How much time do we have in between?
We had like
for Bert
2
to
minutes.
get from his.
No,
but like we had a segment on tape.
He could have
gone home and come back. We love you, Bert. Okay, obviously we appreciate you guys writing in. The Judge Judy endorsing Bloomberg. Got a lot of people talking. Obviously, Zoe Rose says Judge Judy is no Oprah.
Yeah, I didn't mean that.
I take that back.
Nobody's Oprah, though.
That was my bad.
Right, Oprah was a time and a moment that's passed.
I just compared it to daytime. I didn't mean to compare it.
But she is the queen of daytime. Her and Ellen probably right now.
She's the queen right now.
I didn't mean to do that.
Can you compare it to Taylor Swift when she endorsed Democrat, but the Republican nominee still won for Tennessee?
Right.
Remember that last year?
And look, Beyonce. She backed Beto O'Rourke when he was running before he ran for president, and he didn't win.
I bet Beto O'Rourke, she did something different.
Yeah, I bet that too.
Bert's not here. I had to do it. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow.
Selective service website crashed over the weekend because so many people were going to look up answers about a U.S. draft. And there's a lot of misinformation out there, like sites falsely trying to make you pay to register and claims you can't go to college without signing up. We're breaking down the facts, not to add any anxiety, but to let you know what's really going on. First off, we don't have a draft right now. We haven't had an open draft in the U.S. since 1973. A draft itself is when U.S. citizens are actively being called and enlisted in the military without volunteering. It requires an act of Congress. Both houses would have to vote to pass it, and the president would have to sign off on it. Now, if that did happen, which again hasn't occurred since Vietnam, that doesn't just mean men and women would start being drafted left and right. In fact, women wouldn't be drafted at all. As the law stands right now, only men would be drafted. And in the U.S., all men between 18 and 25 are legally required to register. That's where these memes came from. Many posters commenting that they registered for the draft by applying for a FAFSA student loan. And that's actually true. To qualify for FAFSA or any federal aid, a male U.S. citizen does have to be registered with the Selective Service System. Now, you can do it on a FAFSA application when you get your driver's license or just mailing your form in. Bottom line, it's a requirement. And failure to register is actually a felony. But registering for a draft isn't an actual draft. The Selective Service has a list of eligible people, but Congress would have to declare war and they'd have to legally instate a draft before they could use that list. At that point, the men, 18 to 25, who registered with Selective Service could be drafted, but it's not a guarantee. According to the Selective Service, an actual draft would use a lottery system to call registered men. They'd then have to pass a series of physical and mental tests to be considered. Now, we understand the concern that comes anytime someone starts talking about a draft, but it's important to remember we haven't had one in more than 45 years, and it would take multiple acts of Congress before people would even start getting called. With your Verified, I'm Jason Puckett.
Here's what we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
2 stunning videos from Iran, a massive funeral stampede as Trump deploys dozens of fighter jets, plus why the Secret Service might be coming after comedian George Lopez. Then, Judge Judy backs a presidential candidate, but does her endorsement matter?
I like to say you can judge someone's character by what they've done.
Plus, are you mad at me? The questions you should never ask your partner according to the experts. And exorcisms, orgasms, and psychics, a first look at Gwyneth Paltrow's new Netflix series. Can she start a wellness revolution, or is the show just plain weird?
I had an exorcism.
Oh, wow.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Tuesday, January 7th. I'm here with Lindsay, Jeff, Al, and I'm Erica. Sam has the day off, so let's get right to it. Now, tensions with Iran are heating up right now. There are reports of a deadly stampede during the giant funeral procession with millions of mourners grieving for the slain Iranian general. At least 40 people were killed and another 213 people were injured in the stampede. Meantime, the U.S. military, in a huge show of force, launched 52 fully armed stealth fighter jets from a base in Utah in what's called an elephant walk. Each jet took off one after the other. That's a total of $4.2 billion worth of U.S. military machinery. So obviously tensions are really high right now for very good reasons. A lot of Americans are concerned about what's going to happen next. How are you guys feeling about, one, the strike as well as what the uncertainty is?
For me, personally, I hope this is just kind of a protection, a precautionary measure. You know, we're kind of, if something does happen, we're prepared for it. You know, I hope this is what's going on right now. I don't know what's happening. I think a lot of people are assuming they know what's happening, but really the government is taking care of this. We don't know what's really going on. So I'd rather be safe than sorry in the end. Hopefully nothing goes down where everyone's hashtagging World War III, and I just hope, I don't want to see that, and I don't think anyone in America wants to see that.
And I think before we start jumping into this fear thing, the 52 jets went up, but it was a pre-planned exercise they were running through. There's 78 of them total, so only 52 went out and flew. And I think we're just showing Iran that we're standing strong. You know, we already made the decision to kill Soleimani, so that's a done deal. And now it's kind of like either we can get them to come to the table and have a conversation with us on how we'll move forward and maybe come to an agreement, or you know, the worst will happen. And everyone is hoping. I got some context saying yes, we'll fight Iran. We killed somebody who has been doing damage to our country, providing weapons, killing our forces. But I now sit there and talk to some of my coworkers like Jeray, who have a sister who might go and be one of these people fighting, and I have some perspective on pump the brakes. War is not the first thing that we want to do, so nobody wants to really see this progress to the level that it possibly could.
And Lindsay, I think you speak for a lot of Americans now in terms of we're not seeing what we saw with the first Desert Storm, where it appeared like the anchors were almost like staring. Remember those lime green images we got of the bombs, and I think it was Brian Williams that was almost like was literally almost having an orgasm talking about how beautiful I don't see that now. I see a lot of people that have now seen the repercussions of war. When we say bomb them, send our troops, we forget those troops are coming home. And we forget that we have to set up, they now have a life to lead after the horrors that they've seen. So I do think a lot more people like you, Lindsay, where no matter what happens, I don't see the warmongering that we've seen in the past. And I hope that our government follows the lead of its constituencies, that we do not want this.
Right, and I'm glad that you brought up Jeray's sister, because there are a lot of Americans who have sacrificed their loved ones and are not with their loved ones, and we need to keep them in mind, especially when we're talking about politics. It's not about the politics at that point, it's about the people, and we just want to keep our people safe.
Right.
Well, we're going to move on because comedian George Lopez is facing a possible call from the Secret Service. It's all over this comment he made on Instagram about an $80 million bounty put on President Trump's head. Now, Lopez joked, well, we'll do it for half. Now, TMZ reports the Secret Service is aware and are working to see if it constitutes a legitimate threat. Now, we've obviously seen celebrities take things a little too far. Kathy Griffin comes to mind, and now she's on the no-fly list. Does this constitute the same type of threat that Kathy Griffin was accused of?
I think visually, Kathy Griffin's, I mean, anything visually, you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I think
severed bloody head is a lot, man.
Right, and I'm not saying this is better or worse. I'm not trying to compare the two. But George Lopez is a comedian. He's obviously joking. Whether you agree with it or find it funny is a totally different thing. But he's obviously joking around here. There is no legitimate threat. I understand whoever the Secret Service has to do their due diligence and look into this, I guess. But, I mean, he's joking, right?
I think that it has to be off the table, because as scared as the most of American people are, at least what we're seeing on social media, that this could be a war, and knowing that there's an actual $80 million bounty on our president's head that people actually contributed their dollars to in Iran, knowing that that's going on and people are so serious about it, that we can't joke about this issue, because right now we're on the brink of potentially what could be our next big fight with another country.
And I hear you, and you make a legitimate point here, but I'm just going to bring it another direction. People tell me to go kill myself, but if you're somebody like George Lopez, all of a sudden the Secret Service is looking into you. What about the people that tell me to go kill myself, or I'm going to kill you, or kill my family, or all these threats that people get every single day on social media?
I mean, death threats online, we've talked about that ad nauseum on this show, Jeff. It really bothers me. And Lindsay, to your point, I do agree. I do think that there has to be some line in terms of talking about public figures, but I think that line is crossed every day by a lot of citizens that, again, Jeff, going to your whole social media license thing, they have an egg, and they do. Do you want to hashtag kill Obama? How many hits you would get on that on Twitter? I think this has been going on for a long time. I think he has a blue check mark next to his name, so that's why we're talking about this. But what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if he's going to get in trouble, everybody that's talking about violence, especially to a political figure or a famous person or anyone,
great point,
should be subject to the same thing, and I'm fine with that.
Absolutely.
So let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to switch gears because TV's most popular judge, Judge Judy, has backed a presidential candidate for the first time.
Is it me?
It is not you, Al. It's Michael Bloomberg. Check out the new TV ad in his favor.
Mike Bloomberg has done amazing things and will be a truly great president. No one comes close to Mike Bloomberg's executive achievement, government experience, and impactful philanthropy. His steady leadership will unite our country and bring us through these very challenging times.
You know, we constantly talk about celebrity endorsements, and I have to say, Judge Judy's endorsement to me matters.
Really? Why so then a musician say?
It's not that it matters to me personally. I think that it matters to a lot of American public, more so than people are going to give her credit for. I think that Judge Judy has been seen as a pillar of strength and very no nonsense. And for people, especially people who love that about the current administration, I think that that could really add something to Bloomberg's campaign.
I mean, her show's been on the air for 23 years. She's like this trusted woman who's like no nonsense, like Erica was saying, and she's never gotten in politics in her 50 years, she said, of her career being in public eye. She's never put her voice out for a political candidate, and she feels so strongly about Bloomberg being the person that maybe could bring the aisle together, because he has conservatives that have backed him. He obviously has Democrats that have backed him, and he has the philanthropy and the money behind him to do this. So she feels very strongly about it. It's like when Oprah, and I know I'm not comparing her to Oprah, but Oprah backed Obama, and there was a huge change in his momentum. So
yeah, I hear, and I think it might turn the needle a little bit for Bloomberg, just because so many people love Judge Judy.
Right.
But again, I don't like anybody. You could support whoever you want, but it doesn't mean because I'm a Judge Judy fan, I'm going to vote for who she votes for. Do your due diligence. Just because you watch Judge Judy every day and your mom watched her and it's a family thing, still do your due diligence.
Right. I think you probably vote for what your parents voted for and people in your town vote for. But I will say this, I know we got to move on, but as a former middle school teacher, I did used to tell parents, like, honestly, it sounds sounds weird to say, I talk to your kids probably more than you do. If you added up, I talk to your kid for an hour a day. You see him 15 minutes walking out the door, maybe a half an hour coming back. I mean, that's just life. And Judge Judy's been in everybody's living room and has probably spoken more to men and women at home than their spouse has. Every single day, that voice is in their living room, and that counts. 23 years, that gets in there. She's got some pull.
I agree. Well, we're going to get this last story in because a new study has found that bustier women suffer from colds longer than women with smaller cup sizes. What? The reason has to do with leptin, a hormone found in fat cells in the breast that reduces the body's ability to fight off illness. See, that's why I'm never sick.
Same, Erica. That's what I was thinking.
This makes no sense. So women have colds longer than men because we don't have big breasts?
Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. But if you have
Studies are ridiculous.
Who do you think backed this one? Why do you not? Who do you think? Who's benefiting from this? No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So women who have AA are sick for 3 days for the same 8 days that a woman who have an F cup are sick, reportedly by this study.
Sorry.
Hey, look, I don't know. There might be something to this. I mean, it seems like it's something. It's only found in breast tissue. If you have more of it, it's going to affect your ability to recuperate. I know because the word breast makes people giggle and smile, but if this was tricep, we wouldn't be having this. It wouldn't be as giggly. It might. I think you accept that more.
All right. Yeah, exactly. All right. We'll wrap this up. We'll talk about this in the break. And Facebook Live in the break. DBL is live and coming up. Gwyneth Paltrow is turning her controversial lifestyle brand into a Netflix show. But will she really be able to convince women to push the boundaries with their bodies? Plus, the top questions you should never ask your significant other. You might be shocked when you see the list. And you, the viewer, are our fifth host. Should learning about the LGBTQ community be mandatory in middle school? We're sharing your comments on the controversial curriculum next.
Hi, DBL Nation. Let's go to the desk and continue chatting about this busty thing. Busty colds. I'm always sick, and now we know why. Hi, guys. Let's continue talking about that. Now we know why I'm always sick, I guess. You know why I'm always sick.
But what if you get a boob job? So you're going to get a cold a week longer?
But that's not natural fat, though. That's just whatever they're injecting.
Jeff is not buying it.
I hate studies.
But who would benefit from this study?
But what if
it's not
even science. It doesn't make sense.
Are we on, Travis? Okay, Jeff, let me ask you a question. Okay,
usually in studies I don't believe, but this one, who would back it? That would want profit from this? How would he profit from this?
Let's remove.
First off, is someone getting paid? Like, what do? I study the research between big-breasted women and common colds. Whose job is that?
But they do look when they do scientific studies. They do look for commonalities, and if you will make $1 billion if you can figure out how to cure the common cold, and I'm sure they are looking at things as specific as any kind of whether it's let's remove breast size. Let's say it was just belly fat. Let's say that human beings that have more belly fat have more lipids in that. So I just think the breast
because if you're out of shape, I think your body it takes longer for it to fight off diseases as you are. If you're in better shape, you know. If you're out of shape, I think I am going. That I believe. But if you do a test on like who's sick longer, brown-eyed people or blue-eyed people, someone's going to be sick longer. It has nothing to do with being sick. Blue-eyed people or brown-eyed people are going to be sick longer. If you survey 100 people, 50 are brown, 50 are blue, somebody's going to win. It has nothing to do with being sick longer.
And you can do that.
Blue-eyed people are sick a lot longer than brown-eyed people. No, I'm not down.
He thinks they're pool people. He's never been told yet. He doesn't believe it. What do you guys think? Let us know. Do you believe this study or not?
I don't know.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for Fifth Host, and soon all New Jersey students will be required to learn about the history and impact of the LGBTQ community. The curriculum goes into effect statewide in the fall and will be mandatory starting in middle school. Education officials say that this will boost awareness and inclusivity, but some parents are concerned it will lead to unnecessary conversations about sex. So DBL Nation, should LGBTQ studies be mandatory?
Okay, Paula from Facebook says this goes against many religious beliefs. Teach students the basics, English, reading, and arithmetic. Anything else should require parental approval. And I think they're just teaching the historical context of strides that were made in the LGBT community. So I don't think you need to worry about this being a sex education class. And I think it's important when you talk about world history and especially U.S. history that we include these stories in there for people to get a proper context.
All right, Marcos from YouTube says LGBTQ history is not only part of American history, it's world history. The fight for equality is something that every student should recognize. Marco, I'm going to agree with you on this one. If you make this part of your culture, part of your education, it's not a big deal when the subject comes up with your kids. I'm going through this right now. When's the right time to talk about sexuality? When's the right time to talk about LGBTQ rights? These are all things that I think about as a parent. I think if you teach this in school, it's only going to be better for your kids, even if they're not LGBTQ.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when it was time to talk to my son and daughter about MLK, you know, you're like, oh, I can't wait to talk to him. But then it's going to lead to, well, why were there civil rights violations? Now you got to get into race, and it's like, do I want to do that with my 6-year-old? So it's like, it's
but
whatever.
Eventually you're going to have to go down that road.
But yeah, so it's like, as a parent, you do think about it, but I think they were good, healthy discussions. You don't run from it. Right. Anyway, sorry.
I like
Charlotte from Facebook says, this is not what kids are sent to school for. There is no need for this course. Hopefully there isn't just a course. I hope it's just ingrained and interwoven within all of our history, our nation's history and our world's history, because you cannot tell the history of either of those two things I just mentioned without talking about the LGBTQ community. So let's not let this devolve into something about sex. When you start talking about people that are LGBTQ, why does it automatically go to sex? I think that's more to you than anything else. I think we just need to talk about their rich and bright history. I don't see what's
and I kind of transitioned it there a little bit too, but I was just saying, in general,
yes, definitely.
Yes,
I think
that's fine.
People get a very strange perception of what the education system is 100% about. Education is also about the idea of expansion of who you are in the world around you. I went to a university that is the biggest Catholic university in the country, and LGBTQ studies was one of the was a course in the curriculum. It was a very inclusive university, and I think university also means that you're learning about your world. And
Absolutely.
I think you're crippling your child if you don't allow them to know everything about the world that they live in.
Absolutely, I
Erica,
agree.
you took that course and you're still here to tell about it. You okay?
I know. I didn't spontaneously combust.
Okay, she's here.
I know.
Okay. She's
We'll be
alive.
right back.
If you see this face, that means it's your digital break with Brandon. We're going to get straight into this fifth host because we got more comments. You guys have been writing in, and we appreciate you for that. Should the LGBTQ history be taught in schools as a class or in part of the curriculum? Jennifer Tanner on Facebook says, if they're going to do this, then it should be for kids that want to take the class. Other kids should not be forced to take it. Paula Maxey Aries says, no, it shouldn't even be up for consideration. It goes against a lot of religious beliefs. Teach them basics, English, reading, arithmetic. Anything else needs to be approved by each individual parent. Sharon McDonald on Facebook says, I think they should teach these kids what it's like to live in a socialized country. Seems that is where we are headed. Yeah, I think just all three, to touch on all three comments. Remember, they're just implementing what's that word? The improvements or how people of the LGBTQ community have helped American society or history. It's not going to go anything sexual. It's just saying if this person in some day of history made this invention or whatever, that's going to be part of the curriculum, part of the course. Keep writing in, please. We got more DBL coming up next.
There's no cost to work. Call that.
Welcome back to DBL. It's now 1 week into the new decade, and still no flying cars and robot maids, like the Jetsons promised. Well, the cartoon is not alone in bad predictions. We found old research about 2020 from actual scientists. Check it out. Forget eating U.S. humans in 2020.
I see what you did there. Forget eating humans.
We'll get nutrition from robots in our bloodstream. Plus, women will be an average height of 6 feet tall. A lot of us. Skip Disney World. How about taking family vacations to the moon? And ever wanted a pet gorilla? Well, scientists thought we would have bred apes to do chores by now. And as recently as '99, they predicted we'd live past 100 years old.
Wow. Scientists could be wrong, kind of like the breast study.
Oh my gosh, you're still on there.
In 100 years, we're going to be like, all those stories we did on DBL, they all were wrong.
I don't understand the 6 feet tall thing.
I think just better nutrients, maybe. I guess we would just be able to max. But I would say with the robot nutrients, I do think we do have things like soylent. So I don't think you absolutely have to have food anymore.
No, come on, you gotta eat it out. You're being crazy.
You have to eat.
What are you
have to put
talking
about?
No, yes, you can.
Something
you can get
in
it in
your
a
body.
shake. It doesn't have to be like a meal.
Food,
no,
that's a liquid.
No, you're gonna live on shakes.
You could.
And there's
coders do. What do you think they do in Silicon Valley? They
What's
code.
in those shakes, Al?
Proteins.
Al's been watching
I believe that we can live longer. I think the 100
right.
That's a good one.
So we're going to move on. What's likely to happen this year? We did some digging on that too. Prepare for Streamageddon. One BBC reporter says we'll be buying bundles of streaming services like Disney, Netflix, and Hulu.
What a bold prediction.
Don't we already?
Yeah, don't we do that?
Well, I guess they're not bundled. We buy them all separately. Maybe there'll be like a deal for $5.99.
That would be
$25.99.
It's going to be what package fits your family the best, and that's why everybody's leaning on Disney Plus, because they have ESPN and all the Disney library. So if you got kids, and, you want to watch UFC.
What package is DBL going to come in?
All the packaging.
Yeah, there we go.
Next, how we may commute may change. Experts say self-driving cars are closer to our driveways than ever before. Who knows? Sometime this decade, you could be a passenger in your own self-driving vehicle. Don't we already have self-driving?
Tesla, yeah, pretty much.
We're definitely testing it out.
Well, I guess they don't turn, though. The turns aren't that great.
I'm sure all
And
of
we have
it's not that great.
self-parallel parking cars. That's been around for a while.
Yeah. Not a bold prediction. Now, next, it looks like things are finally picking up for self-driving cars. Experts say most new cars purchased this year will have self-driving software already in the car. Now it's up to us to get used to that. What I will say about just technology in cars in general, it's making me really nervous. Our vehicle is a 2014. And all of our technology is like obsolete.
Wow.
It seriously
That
is.
makes sense though, because how much of your technology from 2014 would you use now? I mean, you got to constantly update your phone.
It's
You literally,
crazy.
even with the same phone, you have to update it. So
I'm a little bit scared. I had an option to take a self-driving Uber this weekend, and I was like,
You did?
Yeah, I was in Vegas, and they offered it, and I was like, nah. You had to go through all these steps, like you had to sign an agreement. I was like, nah.
They asked the wrong
and this is
person.
all on Lyft.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm going to Uber.
I'm
no
down
paid
with that.
Lyft.
Wow. Self-driving?
I would like to just experience it, but I would be nervous. Though.
I would want that just to,
You experience it, you tell us about it. DBL Nation, let us know what you hope to see in 2020. And if there's one thing I can predict for sure, it's what's coming up on DBL.
Oh, nice.
We've got the worst questions you could possibly ever ask your significant other. And later, Brad Pitt gets real about his love life. Is it really that bad? More DBL next. I predicted.
talking more about self-driving, and I was saying I'm just scared. I don't want to see all these cars with no drivers just moving around the wheel, because just like your phone gets stuck and the screen won't move, I'm sure you can get stuck in a car.
I don't know, but I think, yes, the first time you do it, you'll be FaceTiming. I can't believe I'm doing this. What's it going to be like the 25th time?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you get on, when you get on the tram at the Denver airport, you know no one's driving that. You know, you assume when you're on a flight that the pilot's on autopilot for most of the flight. It's kind of already happened. I think it's just, with cars, the idea of like letting go of the steering wheel will be difficult for people that like us that have always driven, but if you're, especially like a 5-year-old now,
it'll just be normal.
Yeah, like touching. I mean, just think about it. Like for a 5-year-old, like even my son and daughter, to just like push down on a button. They're like, what is that? Like what do you like the tactile? They're used to like screens like this. They're like, oh, you have to press it down.
Or like
there's something down in there you gotta push.
The old phones, they're looking like they're crazy. Even these phones, you take off the wall.
Yeah.
Some people don't even have phones in their house anymore.
Jeff and I did a Are You Smarter Than a Millennial on the street, and Jeff had a landline phone with no cord attached to it, and asked the kid to make a phone call, and he picked it up and was like legitimately not trying. Like he had no idea that it was missing a cord and you needed a cord to plug into the wall, because it just seems so outdated.
He's like, what?
Yeah, it's just like it's not.
You're not scared of electric or cars that drive themselves?
I am scared. I said I'd be nervous.
But you want to just go see what it's like in the back.
I would like to, like, what do they know how to stop at stop
So the disclaimer has.
Is Brianna scared? Let's ask her.
Oh, Brianna, are you scared?
You would be scared?
Yes.
Because, like, if you put self-driving mode in, like, a Tesla, okay, you put it on the highway and it knows, just because my brother has, and he's kind of explaining it, so I don't know all the rules either, but it notices the dotted line, so it stays within the dotted lines. You can't drive around a community because it doesn't recognize stop signs. So how do you have a self-driving car that doesn't recognize, it might, I don't even know if it recognizes stop lights.
Well, I know for Uber and Lyft, they have somebody in the passenger seat that can also control last minute, and do something.
Why don't they just drive it?
But I think the testing is to be safe. Like you said, first part.
You know what? You're right. I don't want. Is it like half price?
No, it was even more than the regular one.
One day, Masters technology is going to change the world, because we're going to lose truck drivers. We're going to lose like so much, because if you're a company that you don't want to pay a human being that's going to get sick, that has to stop to use the bathroom, that's going to have a baby, like you get rid of all that and you just have a truck that just drives 24 hours. It's going to change the world.
How about robbing those trucks though?
What?
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. Al?
Erica, I got some for you. All right, we have this is probably my favorite comment. One Arnup says, hey, Bert, what do you do for the show?
Was he in the background?
Bert walked through the show and so people were talking about it. Why don't you tell everybody who Bert is, Erica?
Bert's our boss.
There we go. He's our boss.
He
takes care of everything.
People want to know what you were doing walking through the shot.
Yes.
They want to know what you do in general.
I'll be damned if I don't.
He calls the shots, pretty much.
Yes.
He's a titan in television.
Bert is a jack of all the trades that keeps us on the air. So
cheers, buddy.
Bert. Here's what's coming up next on DBL.
Gwyneth Paltrow wants to start a wellness revolution, but will her new Netflix show do the trick?
This is dangerous.
It's unregulated. Should I be scared?
Or just freak you out? Then, Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio together again, with the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood co-stars are revealing about their personal lives and the questions that are off limits when it comes to your significant other. Before you open that can of worms, save yourself and watch DBL.
New information today on the devastating Australian wildfires. 24 people are charged with deliberately setting fires there. Yes, you heard me right. That means they started the fires on purpose. The death toll there continues to rise, with more than 25 people killed already. Not to mention the animals who have died. Officials estimate that number could be in the millions. Now I want to show you some intense video coming in today from the Australian Air Force. Take a look at the view from the cockpit. You can see an eerie orange glow from the flames. Australia's 9 News reports the plane was trying to reach one of the hardest hit towns, but the smoke prevented the crew from doing so. Now I want to show you a map just released by ABC News. The superimposed view of Australia over the U.S. shows how much of our country would be on fire if you compare it to what's happening there. DBL Nation, if you want to help, we'll put the information to donate on our social platforms. This has been Fast Blast for you. As always, I'll update you on any breaking news that comes in throughout the shows, and of course, I'll keep you updated on the Australia wildfires. Bye now.
The Consumer Electronics Show is underway in Las Vegas, but this annual event for tech lovers is no longer where you see the big companies hold influential product launches, but it is the spot to spy the big new trends in tech. Let's connect the dots. While CES is still the place companies like Charmin reveal their toilet paper delivering robot, the big boys in tech like Apple, Amazon, Google all unveil their latest products at their own events. But there are still trends to spot, like even sharper TVs. Did you just shell out for a top-of-the-line 4K TV for Christmas? Well, now 8K television is making its debut at CES. The LG model features 4 times as many pixels as 4K, and you've got to admit, that's a lot of pixels. And Samsung is debuting a TV that can go vertical to make it easier to watch social media videos. Apparently that's easier than getting people to shoot horizontal video with their phones. A lot of buzz this year at CES is about 5G. While it can help you download a movie a lot faster, the experts say it's a real game changer for more important things.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. We are live, so let's get started. Take a look at this ad for Gwyneth Paltrow's new 6-part Netflix series, The Goop Lab. It explores alternative therapies, psychedelics, and energy healing. Let's watch.
What we try to do at Goop is explore ideas that may seem out there or too scary.
Are you guys ready to go out in the field and make a ruckus?
Just another day at the office.
This is dangerous.
It's unregulated. Should I be scared?
I know people have their feelings about Gwyneth Paltrow, but I like doing things a little differently. I like people exploring something that hasn't been done, and I like to try things. I would definitely watch this just to see, like, what's
was
new.
it, Erica? I
It's
saw
different.
acupuncture and a guy jumping in the water.
Right, but think about...
People have done both of those things.
Here's the thing, Al.
But he was on
Everything's
mushrooms.
happened, or you go someplace and you're like, oh, yeah, I did that cryotherapy. Have you heard about that cryotherapy? And you're like all excited about it. When I was doing that 4, 5, 6 years ago, everyone thought I was crazy. Because that's the thing. It's like everyone thinks that you're crazy until it becomes mainstream, and all she's doing is introducing the next thing.
I'm with you on this one. At first I was like, oh, Gwyneth Paltrow, she's trying so hard to relate. She's just being herself. What she puts in her magazine is for people who could relate to that. If not, go on your way. If you like what she does, watch the show. It kind of looks intriguing and different things. I'm with you. I'm kind of interested in stuff that I haven't tried. So good on her. She knows what her brand is, and she's not pulling away from it. So I applaud her for that.
She's doing something right. She has a $250 million wellness empire. So I think just like how Steve Jobs, and unfortunately he passed, went with his alternative medicine for his treatment of cancer, some people think that they can go their own way and decide their own how their life's going to go.
And I feel like I was the one attacking Gwyneth. That's my girl. I've been on her side when y'all came at her crazy. But I will say this. Yes, I've been on Team GP.
Usually she's annoying to me, but this is
I've been on Team GP since day one. My only thing is, and listen to Jeff, I will say this, even if you just get one thing from this, I guess it would be worth it. I mean, some of them seem kind of goofy, but
Al came around pretty quick.
Hey, I can't believe you were doing cryo 6 years ago. I just found out about this like 2 years ago.
Whoa!
What was it, 2000?
Did you do it? No. I meant to text Erica yesterday. I know we got to move on. I bought a diaper genie yesterday.
Yes!
Speaking of 2017, I didn't even know what those were, and our house stinks. Because of the segment we did yesterday, I got a diaper genie. I'm so excited.
There we go.
See?
Sorry to switch gears here a little bit.
I heard about those.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
I nannied for years. I get it.
I have a 3-year-old. It's just in time.
The Golden Globes were Sunday, but Stephanie Jones, what is everyone still talking about?
Well, aside from Jeff's diapers, we're talking about the stars who had quite the night in LA over the weekend, like Joey King and Patricia Arquette, who co-starred in The Act, Watch closely. They were having fun filming a video for InStyle magazine's after party when Joey bonked her on the head with Patricia's trophy. And Joey tweeted, "Patricia Arquette accidentally hit me in the head with a Golden Globe. That sentence will give me bragging rights for the rest of my life." I mean, it sure does, never mind the bruise too. And Tom Hanks made everyone cry on Sunday after thanking his entire family for an award, including his 29-year-old son, Chet. But now everyone's talking about Chet because of this. Watch.
Big up the whole island, massive. It's your boy Chetana, coming straight from the Golden Globes, you want saying? Me father Tom Hanks presenting in a what, soon forward come. Big up, tune in.
Well, that was a bit different, wasn't it? And rumour has it that the Globes want Amy Poehler and Tina Fey back to co-host the show next year. They both said that they were finishing hosting after a 3-year run in 2015, but it looks like we're going to have to wait and see. So what do you reckon, guys? Tina Fey? I think that she'll kill it.
Oh, she always kills it.
Come back.
But let's go back to Chet.
Yeah, because Al still got that face on.
What we're not talking about, Steph, is Chet may have toked.
What did you say, Erica?
Chet may have toked.
I get what you're saying. I get what's going down here.
I had no idea what really to make of that.
I intentionally didn't listen to it before we did this segment because I wanted to see if possibly he might have moved to Jamaica for like a couple of years and got this accent.
I mean, it's
clearly not. That's a terrible accent.
Let's address the elephant in the room. I thought it was pretty good, but is it racist?
I don't know.
I think they'd say it's cultural appropriation. I think that's what people would say. I mean, look, there are the white reggae artists, Kali Buds comes to mind, that do actually embrace and live that culture. So if he's really living that and that's his truth, okay. But I don't know what would have prompted that on the red carpet.
I do.
It's like, you're at your
I know exactly what prompts that on the red carpet.
You think there was something going on before you got to the red carpet?
Al, all I'm going to
little
say
green
is,
carpet?
Yeah. There's only one actor in that family. You should leave it to his dad.
I would agree. I would agree. Thank you, Steph.
Thanks, guys.
Once upon a time in Hollywood, co-stars Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio are together again, this time for a podcast with celebrity friend Marc Maron. He asked the actors when they knew they would hit it big. Leo says it was when his little movie Titanic came out. Listen.
And I went to like the liquor store to get a soda, and there were the SUVs, and then they just kept following me. Every day of my life.
Right.
And it was, I was like,
day.
okay, this life will no longer be the same.
That happens to this day.
No, it doesn't.
Not anymore.
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't. Not as much anymore.
I'm a little disgruntled with you now that I hear that. Because my disaster of a personal life, probably.
It sounds like an interesting podcast.
Yeah.
Because they're living a world that none of us will ever know.
Speak for yourself. I messed that up, but yeah. Would have been funnier if I had not slurred my way through
With that delivery, you're going right to the top.
But I do think that people can relate to a moment in your life where you're like, okay, something is different. Is going to be different.
Do any of you? I know not to that level. Let's not be ridiculous. But I mean, we are on a TV show. Was there a point in your life where you thought, "Hey, something's going to change my way"? Not saying big, but just like where your life shifted and you noticed it.
Well, I was on stage in Grand Rapids this weekend, and there was a very enthusiastic DBL viewer, and I've noticed like they'll say my credits as I'm walking the stage, more and more people recognize DBL, and people talk to me on a different level because they hear me every day, and that's like it's not in that black SUV, but just noticing that people notice you now it's a little bit different.
Jeff, you have to have the most bizarre
coming when you walked off that sound stage from Big Brother. You must have felt that because you said you saw yourself in a magazine or something?
Well, that was surreal too because I had no idea how many people actually watched that show till I got off the show. But my life changed when I kind of fell on, not hard times, I don't want to make it sound like that, but I was in a negative headspace and my boss kind of turned my life around just by listening to positivity. That's kind of where I get all this from. That's where it all came from. And one day he told me, he goes, "Jeff, you're finally in a place mentally, and I see it and everyone around you sees it, that something big is around the corner." A week later, I got Big Brother. It was surreal, and I noticed it like in front of my eyes, my life changed, and I knew that show was going to be something big for me internally, and it really was. It gets me kind of like, emotional. But I saw it in front of my eyes that my life was changing, and it did.
That's insane that you remember that moment so specifically.
I did. I was in his office, and he used to put me in there for 4 hours every day to listen to positivity.
And let me tell you something to know that's so interesting about that is, without that conversation, you probably would have gotten Big Brother anyway. But if you did not have that mentality, that something big had just happened.
I disagree.
I don't know if he would have respected
I don't think he would have gotten it. I really don't. I think that sometimes we put so many things in our lives that we don't make room for things to come in. And when you were saying that you had like a lot of negativity, like we fill that space, and we've all done it.
Right.
We've all been in that circle. Yeah. And the moment that you had that realization, you had a breakthrough, and it allowed there to be room for good things to come in. And I don't think that that's a coincidence. I just think that that was the way that it was planned.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was just saying, like, let's say he was just going to get Big Brother and it was just going to happen. I think when you exited that soundstage, you'd been like, yeah, what's next? How can, and you would have been, maybe you might have been the bad boy of Big Brother, and that might not have lasted
And his
as long.
mentor helped him be more present.
Right, you recognize
that humbleization, if that's a word, going on to the show helped me, being positive, being that guy, not being negative. It transformed who people look at me today as who I was on that show. Right. Had I not had that boss and I got Big Brother, my life would have went in a totally different place.
And we've seen it happen. How many people have gone into a tailspin after something like that?
Yeah, sorry. When that was a
that was a great conversation. Well, we're going to move on to One Tree Hill actress Jana Kramer and her husband Mike Kasson. They've been very open about their infidelity issues, and on Monday's episode of their podcast, they are answering listeners' questions. One person asked how they rebuilt trust, and here's what Jana says.
There's something that I know has worked and we learned from therapy is the 24-hour rule. So you have 24 hours if you lie to come back and say, hey, you know what, I messed up. That was a lie. And that shows change. That shows some honesty. That shows a little growth.
So is that like an amnesty 24 hours? Like there's no repercussions? Because
you're right. Is it? I don't know.
I mean, I'm the only one up here who's not married or hasn't been married. And I thought that she talked to her therapist. This might have been a good idea because people feel like they can't speak about something. I'm thinking white lies. Now, this woman, I think, has dealt with publicly infidelities and things in her marriage. So I don't know how much they're allowing lying in 24 hours. It might be a slippery slope. But you guys probably can speak to
I think it's just a way of getting the truth out, right? It's just one. I mean, to fix any problem, you have to be honest with each other. And even if you don't want to hear it, you have to be honest. I think it's just a way of getting that onto the table. Right. That's the way I see it.
It's interesting we're talking about this. I was when I was driving back from Michigan, going to your hometown of Chicago, I was listening to Dan Savage, who's a
Erica.
and Erica. Thank you. Listening to a sex therapist podcast, and he was talking about monogamy, and he was like, if you're married for 50 years, everybody thinks that one incident of infidelity is like an extinction level event, and he was like, it's not. Like 50 years, if somebody messes up, if you choose to end it, that's your decision. But it's not always a guarantee. And I mean, we might look at somebody like, girl, leave him. But people didn't say it to Beyonce. And look at them now. Jay-Z and Beyonce seem to be a stronger couple than they were. So I don't know if infidelity should always be an extinction level event, but I think it goes couple by couple. I don't know about the 24-hour rule, the day of awkwardness. But however you guys deal with it to move through that, I think I'm okay with that.
I think infidelity means a whole lot more than sleeping with someone else. I think we think of it in a sexual way, but there are ways to cheat on your partner that have nothing to do with having sex with somebody else. So
basically, as long as they tell you in 24 hours. It's a walk.
You're in the trust.
Well, I guess it depends.
Lindsay's looking for loopholes. Okay, write that down. Write that down.
You got to move in with Jana, girl. Well, coming up on DBL, watch how a young hockey fan lives out her dream and gets honored in a way she never expected. Don't miss this powerful Heart Threads. But first, we're helping you keep the peace at home. We've got the top questions you should never ask your significant other. I can think of a few next.
Who's responsible for the deaths of Russell and Shirley Dermond? Investigative reporter Jessica Knoll joins us to dive deeper into the case in DBL's True Crime Chronicles. Join the conversation on Next DBL.
Okay, we have Jody.
I did the F block. It's okay. It's the questions that you should never ask your significant other. So we'll have 4 minutes and we'll have 6 questions and you'll just chat after each one.
Okay.
So we don't have to get through all 6. So if the conversation is good, we can just get to like 3 or 4.
Okay, so we'll pause
chat after each one.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. Yeah, we were talking about vacations, different ways to do it. So everybody came back on Wednesday? Yeah, well, we came back on Thursday of last week. Oh, yes. Which is right after Christmas. And it's like, 3 days of holidays with your family, probably fly back 2 days or 1 day in advance, and then right back to work after craziness. But Erica went to Mexico.
Yeah, so we had, so here's the thing. So this year has been, last year was crazy for myself and my husband. So I don't get the vacation that he gets. So we were trying to come up with a way to like really be off the radar. And our intentions were to like not have phones, nothing. But we ended up spending the first half of break in Canada because that's where his family's from. And then we came home for 1 day and then we flew to Mexico for a week. And
you were definitely on some kind of government list. That's a
well, we were doing the North America tour, like from Canada, U.S., Mexico. But because I had an uptick in social media activity, like right before I left, I had to stay on the radar a little bit, but I was completely content. Like there really weren't stories, pictures. I was trying to like, all right, let's do this. But yeah, we needed it, and I was very grateful to have it.
When you do that intentionally, because I've done that before, aren't you just so much more present when you're like, let's just put our phones down while we go get something to eat or something?
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how hard it is though? You feel weird.
Because you know how many times you touch this at dinner or like, hey, like, and just if you just put it away, you know, and intentionally, you can just have these conversations and just like, I don't know. I like it when you
Welcome back to DBL. Are you getting on your partner's nerves without even knowing it?
Yes.
Here are some of the questions you should never ask your significant other. First up, are you mad at me? GQ magazine says this is a big no-no. Instead, experts suggest saying, is something on your mind?
Better watch how you say that.
I was going to say, is this sort of, it's not what you say, it's how you say
Intonation, brother.
Both of those would be like, because something was on my mind, I probably would just talk about it if I wanted to. If I didn't, and you're like, are you mad at me? Something on your mind, I'd be like, no. And you know when a woman just says no or it's fine, it's really not.
But then if it's not fine, do we ask a follow-up question, or do we just let it sit? Because if you say, I said it's fine, but then you are clearly heightened saying that.
Well, you just be prepared for 2 weeks later when we bring it up randomly.
Yeah.
Okay. A nice day, we're just chilling.
You're in trouble either way.
I know. So do you stop talking, or do you try and talk it out?
I say talk it out. I like to just get everything out on the table because I'm not wasting my good time worrying about things for 2 weeks. Like, we either going to do this now or we ain't going to do it at all. But my question is always, are we friends again? Oh, that's a good way.
That's good.
Yeah.
I actually really like that.
Fuses things,
You know, hey. Well, another question you should never ask your partner, according to Lifehack, why can't you just relax?
Yeah, ladies.
This is basically the same as saying calm down, and no one wants to hear that.
See, I got a problem with that. I'm always like, listen, just relax. You know, I'm not telling you like, you better relax, girl. I'm saying like, let's just calm down. Let's take a second. And there was a couple of oohs and ahs around here.
Like how even Al's riled up, you would say, just relax.
I mean, come
you
on,
wouldn't
buddy.
get offended?
Let's take a minute. Let's relax. That's how people talk to
I would
each
just be
other.
like, dude, relax. I didn't mean like that. What I was saying was, but I'm not saying like relax, like calm your pretty head. But I know women don't hear that, so men don't say that.
I have Anthony has an effective one on me.
What?
What can I get you to eat? Because he always assumes that, like, are you hungry? You want to go get some?
That would work on me.
Hangry is out. And even if I'm not hangry, I'm like, you know what? I could really go for a Whopper.
Yeah.
I could just.
That would actually really work.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, what?
Go get your favorite.
Does it have to be a significant other, or could I say, calm down to a coworker, or is it just all women in general? What's up?
Well, I don't know. Relax is not going to really go over well. Especially if I'm hyped up about something I'm passionate about, and you're like, calm down.
What about chill out? Is it just the word relax? Can I say you chill out? Or
Here's the thing. Wow. Just go with, Jeff just asked me, do you want a beef sandwich? And I'll be like, sure, Jeff. Everything's fine in the world.
Maybe not that smooth, but yes.
Up next, if you knew it would make me uncomfortable, then why would you bring it up? Experts say instead of asking this question, sometimes you just have to accept the parts of yourself that you may not like so much.
What expert, by the way?
You're questioning every study on the show today.
Every time I talk to like a relationship expert, they're single.
Yo, that's so true. That is so true.
It is true.
They're
You know what I
so
mean?
busy focused on our relationships. They're doing it for our benefit, Jeff.
Yeah, sure.
And I appreciate advice from people that I'm like, okay, I like what you're doing over there. Let me.
Yeah, I want to be like, I've been married 50 years. This works. Not like, I can't find a dude or a girl. Sorry.
A non-binary person.
All right. I'm going to get you out of this one, Jeff. Coming up on DBL, a young
These are
hockey
my
fan
topics. I like it.
battles for her life, and in doing so, inspires an entire community. Her story next in Heart Threads.
Hi guys, I'm here to guide you to your nearest exit. This is in honor of Peter, the pilot for The Bachelor.
Yay!
So, Bachelor started last night, so Travis, Angelica, and I are here to break it down. What do you guys think?
I need a support emotional animal as well for the 3-hour episode.
Right? It was a little long.
They were extra dramatic this first episode,
with Hannah.
Yeah.
I'm all about that Hannah Brown coming back. If you don't know, she was the previous Bachelorette. She had Peter on her season. She let him go. Clearly a mistake, guys. I think they could be together, don't you? She never should have let him go.
She clearly still has feelings.
So the episode ends, right, with us not knowing if she's going to stay or not.
Yep.
So what do you guys think?
I think she'll stay.
You
and
do?
She'll compete against the other Hannah.
You do?
No, I think she'll be there for one more episode. The girls are going to get so mad.
They're going to get savage and brutal, and it'll be so bad for her that she'll be like, no, I can't stay.
Well, she spent more time on ABC with Dancing with the Stars, so
that's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying, obviously, producers made her do this because she was still under contract with ABC, so she kind of couldn't say no when they asked her to come on, but I don't think that's even the case. I think she's in love with him still.
Yeah.
I think she realizes I made a mistake picking whatever his name was. What was his name? Jed?
Jed?
Yeah, ew, gross. Like, so gross. So DBL Nation, let us know what you think about The Bachelor. Are you watching this season? Are you over it? I think for all of us, it's just like a guilty pleasure. We know it's bad TV, but for us,
watch it with us.
it's the best. Watch it with us and let us know what you think. Bye.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about a young hockey fan who has gained a lot of fans all for herself. Watch how she's inspired an entire community. This Blues superfan was officially enshrined in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Layla Anderson was diagnosed with HLH, a rare autoimmune disease. Layla found a support system in the Blues after meeting them while trick-or-treating at St. Louis Children's Hospital.
Just to know that all these boys support me is unreal.
As they all sought the perfect bone marrow donor to save Layla's life, friends and family wore Layla Strong bracelets to support her cause. Her friend Lucas wore one during a family trip to the Hockey Hall of Fame. While there, he felt that Layla needed a permanent place in Blues history, so he shared her story with the museum curator.
I told him it's Layla Anderson, the Layla Anderson, the girl who inspired a city.
Now the Layla Strong wristbands are officially enshrined in the exhibit.
For them to try so hard to get it in and it actually worked just meant so much to me.
Layla has since found a bone marrow match and is cured of HLH. We here at DBL are also Layla Strong. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty Blast. I'm Jeray Banks, but you might know me at Jeray for the Slay on all social media platforms. So today we're talking about skin that slays. And today's question actually came from a viewer who asked, how do I create a skincare regimen? Now, this is actually really popular, guys. A lot of people don't know how to create their skincare regimen or routine. So I put together a simple 6-step for a twice-a-day skincare routine, okay? Now, for morning or daytime, you wanna start your day off with cleansing / toning. Now, I put a slash there because not everyone needs to overly cleanse their skin morning and night. Some people are better off just toning in the morning. With doing more of a cleanse or tone in the morning, you want to make sure that you're not over-processing your skin in the daytime. This is going to mean that your skin feels dry or overly irritated when you cleanse in the morning. Maybe when you're doing that, you instead want to move over to a toner. So step 1 is cleanse or tone in the morning. Figure out what your skin likes better. Now step 2 is going to be applying an eye cream. My favorite for daytime is a tinted eye cream. And these guys are great for making sure that you're concealing slightly without having to wear full concealer underneath your eye. Sometimes we're just going day to day or running to the grocery store real quick and you want that quick pick-me-up. Now, number 3 is going to be utilizing a serum in your skincare routine. These guys are great for really giving you that vitamin of nutrient that you need for that change in your skin. So sometimes you're using a retinol, sometimes a vitamin C, or sometimes a vitamin E serum to really boost up your skin regimen in general. Second to last, we're going to be looking at a moisturizer, something to really emulsify and hydrate your skin to make sure that your skin is looking its best and most hydrated that it can possibly look and be and feel that way too. And last but not least, you want to go ahead and put on some SPF for your daytime. Now this can be in your daytime moisturizer, but the best way to have some sun protection is going to be utilizing a separate SPF. So some great ones out there is the Pierre Thomas Roth powder, maybe Skin Science, and a lot more out there. Now, if you guys have more questions, feel free to write in at Jure for the Slay on all social media platforms. And while you're there, go ahead and follow, click a like or two, and I'll holla back at you, boo. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to DBL. Well, we're only a week into the new year and we've got our first viral video hack. You know I feel about those like Jeff feels about steady. So apparently this is how you peel a hard-boiled egg.
Oh, all right.
Insane.
So
Okay.
here, we don't have a faucet, obviously, but we got some.
Make sure that thing is closed tightly.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
Shatter it anyway.
Well, you got to break it a
You
little
have to
bit,
like
right?
this, like really hard.
He didn't do it really hard. All right, is it cracked? Yeah, it's a little cracked. All right, let's see.
You got this.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Yep. Yeah, it worked.
He ripped
No
the egg in
good,
half.
no good. It's not coming off.
Remember when I told y'all that wrapping paper trick was not gonna work?
You called
Who was
that
right?
one. You called that one.
Who was right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no good.
Click.
No,
It still doesn't come
Jeff
off.
didn't do it right. You're supposed to shake it harder so it cracks all the way. You literally gave it like a
I
little.
like how you blame it on me. Maybe it just doesn't work.
That's clickbait all day.
All right, good.
That it
We're
doesn't work.
Do you
on
think his
all
water
day. So
was
tune back
colder?
in because Lindsay's doing it next time.
Lindsay, are there any hacks you swear by? I told you my hack with kiwis, I don't eat them that much, but with a spoon you can just get right underneath the fur that's around
Yeah.
it. And just with one go around you can take the whole thing off.
You could do the same thing with a hard-boiled egg. That's how I do it. You slip the spoon in there and it's way better.
I stick like a a knife inside of a wine bottle if I can't find my corkscrew.
Are you on a pirate ship?
And you just push it all the way in?
Girl!
Lindsay.
You can't cork your wine?
Wow.
We can have a talk.
Lindsay's just drinking in an alley.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Game of Thrones
Same
hacks.
place.
There we go.
Selective Service website crashed over the weekend because so many people were going to look up answers about a U.S. draft. And there's a lot of misinformation out there, like sites falsely trying to make you pay to register and claims you can't go to college without signing up. We're breaking down the facts, not to add any anxiety, but to let you know what's really going on. First off, we don't have a draft right now. We haven't had an open draft in the U.S. since 1973. A draft itself is when U.S. citizens are actively being called and enlisted in the military without volunteering. It requires an act of Congress. Both houses would have to vote to pass it, and the president would have to sign off on it. Now, if that did happen, which again hasn't occurred since Vietnam, that doesn't just mean men and women would start being drafted left and right. In fact, women wouldn't be drafted at all. As the law stands right now, only men would be drafted. And in the U.S., all men between 18 and 25 are legally required to register. That's where these memes came from. Many posters commenting that they registered for the draft by applying for a FAFSA student loan. And that's actually true. To qualify for FAFSA or any federal aid, a male U.S. citizen does have to be registered with the Selective Service system. Now, you can do it on a FAFSA application when you get your driver's license or just mailing your form in. Bottom line, it's a requirement. And failure to register is actually a felony. But registering for a draft isn't an actual draft. The Selective Service has a list of eligible people, but Congress would have to declare war and they'd have to legally instate a draft before they could use that list. At that point, the men, 18 to 25, who registered with Selective Service could be drafted, but it's not a guarantee. According to the Selective Service, an actual draft would use a lottery system to call registered men. They'd then have to pass a series of physical and mental tests to be considered. Now, we understand the concern that comes anytime someone starts talking about a draft, but it's important to remember we haven't had one in more than 45 years, and it would take multiple acts of Congress before people would even start getting called. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
Here's what we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Two stunning videos from Iran, a massive funeral stampede as Trump deploys dozens of fighter jets, plus why the Secret Service might be coming after comedian George Lopez. Then, Judge Judy backs a presidential candidate, but does her endorsement matter?
I like to say you can judge someone's character by what they've done.
Plus, are you mad at me? The questions you should never ask your partner according to the experts. And exorcisms, orgasms, and psychics, a first look at Gwyneth Paltrow's new Netflix series. Can she start a wellness revolution, or is the show just plain weird?
I had an exorcism.
Oh, wow.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Tuesday, January 7th. I'm here with Erica, Jeff, Al. I'm Tori. Sam has the day off. Let's get right to it. Tensions with Iran are heating up right now, and there are reports of a deadly stampede during the giant funeral procession, with millions of mourners grieving for the slain Iranian general. At least 40 people were killed in the stampede, and another 213 people were injured. Meantime, the U.S. military, in a huge show of force, launched 52 fully armed stealth fighter jets from a base in Utah in what's called an elephant walk. So what happens there is each jet takes off one right after the other. So that's going to be a total of $4.2 billion worth of military machinery. It comes out to, I think, about $90 million a jet. It's a show of strength. It's like a silverback gorilla, like going, ooh, like that's what this is, showing our strength. A lot of people right now are saying, are you scared? I want to know from you guys, are you worried about retaliation?
Well, I don't think it's a silverback gorilla. I think we have to protect ourselves.
No, I mean the show of force with the elephant walk.
Again, we have to protect ourselves. If something, we all pray and hope nothing happens. No one wants to lose soldiers. Nobody wants to go to war. We hope we could bring this to the table. It's going to be tough. We've been trying to talk to Iran for years and years and years, and we never come to a resolution. Things are escalating quickly, but we have to protect ourselves, our country, and our troops.
But the problem is we were in an agreement with Iran, and then Trump got in, and we got pulled out of that Iranian deal. We were actually in better talks and a better situation, I think, in a foreign policy way than we were many times before. We're now out of that, and they're threatening retaliation.
But this man, Soleimani, am I pronouncing that correctly? He already has blood on his hands.
Definitely.
From American soldiers. So by doing this, and we do go to some sort of war escalation, I don't know, would we lose more troops not doing anything, or more Americans, I should say, by not doing anything to him? Or are we going to lose more troops by killing him and then fearing the retaliation?
Right. Well, I hear you, but I say I'm not sad this man is dead. I'm not sad about that. I'm upset or worried about the way we did it. Was the response correct in retaliation for what we will receive? Which I think, and I'm saying this speculatively, will be an assassination of someone high up in our government.
And I think you speak for America.
And I don't think that that's a speculation. I think that that's what's being articulated. Which, I mean, obviously, anytime you talk about war, people get very uncomfortable. And maybe the response to a lot of people talking about the policies and politics, or even joking on social media, is their way of handling the situation. But I'm thinking about all the young men and women that no one can be fully prepared for war. Right. No one can be fully prepared for war times. And I think that war has become like some type of buzzword, and talking about show of strength, it's like, do people understand what happens if we actually entered into war? And people can't possibly be letting that on their radar from what I see the responses on social media. So I would think about the people who it's directly affecting now. So many parents had to say goodbye and see you later to their children. So many people had to go to unknown parts in order to do God knows what. And that sits with me. And I think it should really sit with everyone before we start these conversations.
Personalize it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it does, Erica, because I mean, we are now seeing the third and fourth wave of young people coming back from the Iraq war, and that people that have been deployed to Afghanistan for their fourth or fifth time. And we are seeing young men and women with PTSD, and we're realizing how overwhelmed our VA is. And I think that may have contributed to the fact that we don't see the incredible amount of war mongering, because it used to be, let's bomb them, let's get them. And I think now people, after they saw their son,
over Baghdad.
Right, yeah.
That was a song we would dance to.
When people are seeing people they love coming back as different people that have experienced in the horrifying situations, I hope that we've learned something over the course of 20 years of seeing these young men with 30 years. I think the first, it was 1990. Yeah, well, 30 years. Yeah. So before we start talking about bomb them, and let's talk about who's going. And it's probably not you. It's the people that crashed the draft website because they were so worried that they would be sent over to Iran.
Yeah, that did crash yesterday. Well, great point, good conversation. Comedian George Lopez, just like Erica said, is actually facing a possible call from the Secret Service over a joke about this. It all came over a comment he made on Instagram about a real $80 million bounty. That's real, and it was put on President Trump. George Lopez joked, "We'll do it for half." Well, now TMZ reports the Secret Service is aware and are working to see if it constitutes a legitimate threat. I'm going to be straight up with you. I've been around Secret Service a lot growing up because of Chelsea would always be surrounded by. A lot of people in D.C. had Secret Service. They don't take it as a joke. Nothing
Chelsea
is a
Clinton,
joke.
you mean?
Yeah, Chelsea Clinton. They don't take it as a joke. Nothing is a joke. So I am very against anyone, even though I really disliked Trump. I never want someone, I was against the Kathy Griffin, and I will stand behind that. You don't make jokes about assassinating or hurting our president without a visit from the Secret Service, because if you took it as a joke, one will get through and it'll be the one fatal bullet. So I think this is straight up wrong. How do you guys feel?
I mean, I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. I'm not comparing what the two did to each other. I'm not saying one's right or one's wrong. I think George Lopez is joking in this sense. And how do we take what George Lopez is, because he has a blue check mark next to his name, by saying, we'll do it for half, meaning a threat to the president? I don't think he's a serious threat. But people online tell me to go kill my family. They tell every celebrity, they say this and that. And the other thing, where's their repercussions?
It's interesting. It's a good conversation.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that once people start facing real sanctions for threatening to kill a quarterback or a kicker that missed an extra point, once that starts happening, remember like when LimeWire and the other music share service started suing people that were kind of stealing pirated music? Napster. I mean, people were talking about it, and unfortunately, you might need to make whatever the equivalent of an example of that on somebody, but just like show somebody, like, you can't just say, because let's say I go online and I threaten Jeff. I say, I hate DBL and I'm going to kill you and all your co-hosts. Well, now let's say I'm a fan of DBL and I'm walking up and approaching you. You don't know if I'm the guy that tweeted you or I'm a fan and I'm just a random man walking up to you. These are going to have real life repercussions. So we need to make sure that when you start threatening somebody's life, it's taken seriously and people will understand.
The Secret Service
Trust
will
me,
take
a couple
it
people go to
seriously.
jail. We'll see what's up.
Yeah. All right. Well, TV's most popular judge, Judge Judy, has backed a presidential candidate for the very first time, and it's Michael Bloomberg. So check out this new TV ad in his favor.
Mike Bloomberg has done amazing things and will be a truly great president. No one comes close to Mike Bloomberg's executive achievement, government experience, and impactful philanthropy. His steady leadership will unite our country and bring us through these very challenging times.
They don't. So we want to know, does Judge Judy's opinion... Sorry, I was looking at a comment.
Tell everybody what you were saying. That was interesting.
I should. You're right. Stephen George just wrote, Snoop Dogg said the Secret Service showed up at his door and warned him he needed to chill out when he made the music video pretending to shoot Trump. They don't play around.
Wow.
So I was just trying to let everyone know that's a real deal. What do you think about Judge Judy's influence?
I think that this will make an impact.
I do too.
I really do. I think that Judge
Enough
Judy...
of an impact.
I don't know if it's going to win him the election, but I do think that it will make some sort of positive impact for his campaign. Judge Judy has been a trusted figure in all of our homes in daytime television for decades for a reason. She is seen as beyond reproach. She's seen as someone who is stern. She's seen as someone who people listen to and is really respected. I think this, coupled with Bloomberg's direct threat to Donald Trump's ego, if nothing else.
For the money.
Exactly. Is something that we should be looking at. I have never, and I said that I wouldn't say who I would support or back until I was 1,000,000% sure. I could tell you who I'm not backing, but that's a different story. But I do feel like this is something to look at.
I agree with you. And just know that Bloomberg has spent so much money on advertisement. He has an office set up, I think, in the U.S. Virgin Gorda, just in case they need the votes there.
Really?
Yeah, he's spending that much money. He has the money. He's got the media to spend.
I've been to the U.S. Virgin Islands. There's like 14 people there.
I know.
I did notice during the Golden Globes that Bloomberg ad. I was like, look at this guy.
Smart guy,
look
right?
at this guy.
Yes. Smart guy. DBL's live coming up. Gwyneth Paltrow, my favorite, is turning her controversial lifestyle brand into a Netflix show. But will she really be able to convince women to push the boundaries with their bodies? May I add, is it smart to do so? Plus, the top questions you should just not ask your significant other.
I thought
You
that was
might
the
be
property
shocked.
brother guy the whole time.
No, his eyebrows look different. Okay. You might be shocked when you see the list. And you, the viewer, are our fifth host. Should learning about the LGBTQ community be mandatory in middle school? We're sharing those comments on the controversial curriculum coming up next.
Hi, DBL Nation. Kelly Schubert here, the DBL digital team. I'm tracking all the breaking and trending news, and that does include the Australia wildfires. Lots of devastating images coming from there today, and I do get to that later in Fast Blast, so stay tuned for that, and I'll keep you updated if we get any new information in. Let's go to the desk and talk with our hosts. Hi, guys.
Interesting.
Can we do
What's happening up here?
Hello.
Hi.
Where is
A lot of people are saying, well, Mr. Vato 53, this is
Just hold
interesting,
that George Lopez
LOL,
goes
George,
a little
Judge
smoother.
Judy's support means nothing. But I do think, for instance, Oprah
No,
supported
it's way too
Obama in a
much reading.
very rare move for her. She doesn't usually endorse a candidate. And it calculated to 1 million votes for Obama. 1 million. That is, you can't even pay to get that much from one human
but all we're
being
doing is
making
jumping
one
one
statement.
story,
So
so
my main thing is, I think Judge Judy might have more of influence that we're thinking of, but maybe not.
Yes.
Right? When someone's laughing,
It smells
it
like
does.
a
Why
broccoli.
happen?
No, there was somebody eating a salad back there. And
It smells horrendous.
It came up here.
It did.
And, yes. No.
What is
Kiri
that?
usually eats super healthy food.
It's orange garlic sauce.
It doesn't smell
It
like
does not
orange
smell
garlic
like
sauce.
orange garlic sauce.
It smells like.
Oh, it's Brussels sprouts. That's what it is. It smells like.
Yeah.
Smells like you had.
Eggs and Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, we did open up an egg.
I'm just saying it's too
No, they
political.
did too back there.
Fully support you. Thanks, Hal.
I know.
We love
but
you
it's
and your
just, like,
healthy
too
food,
political.
Kiri.
Guys, this is random.
I'm just saying.
I think I'm gonna go veggie for at least the next 30 days.
You don't.
I'm kind of like
do that.
over meat. I don't know. I was eating some meat last night. I was like, I don't want this.
Well, then
It's
don't
a
eat
weird
it.
thing. Yeah. But I don't know how to supplement the. How do you get all the nutrients?
I'm gonna give up something
Beans and
every
tofu.
month. So like this month I'm not drinking, and like next month I'm gonna give up like beer. The next month I'm gonna give up dairy. And next month I'm gonna give up meat.
And is that a religious, like a sacrifice thing, or is that just a discipline thing?
I just want to test my body now. I'm getting older, so I want to see what agrees with my body and what doesn't.
You should check with your doctor for geriatrics if you can do that.
What?
I'm just kidding.
What's that mean?
Geriatrics means you're super old.
Oh, you should get looking at plastic surgery.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for Stop It. It's time for Fifth Host, and soon all New Jersey students will be required to learn about the history and impact of the LGBTQ community. I'm going to say that again. The history and impact. Nothing about sex. The curriculum goes into effect statewide in the fall and will be mandatory starting in middle school. Education officials say this will boost awareness and inclusivity, but some parents are concerned it will lead to unnecessary conversations about sex. So DBL Nation, should LGBTQ studies be mandatory?
Well, Christina from Facebook says American history is still not being taught in a way that correctly includes the importance and perspective of Black and brown people. This is putting the cart before the horse. I don't think that one necessarily excludes the other. I went to a Catholic university, the largest Catholic university in America, and I took African American studies and I took LGBTQ studies.
Could you both?
I think that when we're talking about education, people are very stuck on X's and O's as if you've ever used geometry a day in your life. But what you do use is the understanding of the world around you and from whence we came. Is that right? From
Yes. Very well said.
So yeah, so I think that it's important that children are educated on everything.
Brendan from Facebook says, let parents guide their child's values and beliefs. Our kids are not sent to school for social experiments. Brendan, I don't think it's an experiment. I think it's an education. And again, to go back to what Tori was saying in the beginning, my mind automatically goes to sex too. So if your mind automatically goes there, don't be ashamed. Mine did too. What's the right age to talk about sex? What's the right age to talk about LGBT sex? Again, totally different conversation. I'm going to piggyback off what Erica said. All my learning, all my years of school, I have a college degree. I think 1 month of traveling taught me more about the world than any of my courses in college. So I think learning about the world, learning about different people in the world, learning about different people's cultures should be involved in everyone's curriculum, even if it doesn't affect your life.
Wow, well said.
Well said. All right. Tracy from YouTube says, I wish this was enforced when I was in school. It would have made me more confident and possibly more accepted by my peers. Tracy, I'm sorry to hear that you had that experience, and I completely agree with you. I mean, when we're talking about there's a class called civics, and they deal with civil rights, and who in the modern times has had their civil rights violated and then restored to a certain amount than the people in the LGBTQ community. So I say I would be interested to see how you could get around talking about civil rights without talking about LGBTQ and their experience in this country and on this planet. So let's remove the sex and just talk about a bunch of people that were marginalized.
It's about all of that stuff. Really quickly, a lot of my gay friends, and I went to a very hippie school when we were taught that, a lot of my gay friends that didn't go to my school would have felt validated and would have felt a place in their world had they known the history in which they came from. They would not have maybe experimented with self-harm, experimented with other partners, had they known a people had fought for their rights and they felt proud to be in this country.
And they were part of a community.
That's it.
A huge community.
That's it. Coming up on DBL, Leonardo DiCaprio is world famous, but there's one thing that rarely happens to him anymore. Can you guess what it is? And from fewer headaches and checkout lines at stores to the streaming services revolution, we've got the top predictions, for 2020.
likes my new glasses.
Were they Warby Parker?
No, they're Amazon.
Yay! Doesn't she look cool today?
Yeah.
So does Jameson.
Bieber wears big glasses too.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, guys.
We love
We bond over beads.
Yeah, I can tell. There's a thing happening here.
Did you watch Yummy?
Oh, boy.
Of course.
So good.
Yeah.
I love his pink hair.
I can't wait for the documentary. I'm not even joking.
Dude, Courtney and I got a
Never
date
gonna
for
know.
it. Join us.
I'm never going to know what's going on in my segment. No, I'm kidding.
So the first part, you're just going to read. It's predictions from the past.
I can't
about
wait.
Now.
Perfect.
So just read through those.
Can't wait.
The next set are going to be more realistic predictions.
Got it.
We can take a beat and talk after each one.
Okay, will you say beat or talk? Does it matter?
Sure, and it's also in the prompter.
Perfect.
Chit-chat.
Perfect.
So you'll be good.
Thank you guys. Margot just wrote Margot says, stop with the LGBT in school. Teach kindness in kindergarten. Let parents teach them. Again, I want you to be clear. It's not about what happens between lesbians, gays, anything. It is about teaching what, don't ask, don't tell. Who is Matthew Shepard? How did he die and what happened because of that? I think kids would like to know that and need to know that to be fully educated. No, let's stay ignorant. Right?
Welcome back to DBL. We're now 1 week into the new decade. Whoa! And still no flying cars like the Jetsons. The cartoon is not alone in bad predictions. We found old predictions from real scientists about 2020. So these are the old predictions. You got to see this. They thought humans in 2020 will get nutrition from robots in our bloodstream instead of eating.
What?
Huh.
That's a
like a
tough
parasitic thing, I guess.
What?
And women would be an average height of 6 feet tall.
Were men gonna grow taller? You guys are just
No.
I don't know. Men are an average height of 6 feet tall.
shoes have gotten
5'11",
taller.
I think, is average.
I thought the average was 5'7" for men and 5'4" for women.
In 1861, it's like 5'11".
Can somebody look that up so
What's
I
the
can tell
average male
Tori
height?
she's wrong?
Okay, great.
I thought 5'11", 180 pounds, for 175.
Most dudes in this room are not 5'11".
That's true.
Well, some are over.
Okay.
That's what
Brandon's just killing that curve.
Wow, this is a great conversation. Families will vacation on the moon.
I'll dig that.
Yeah, Jeff would love that.
I don't understand why we don't go more.
I know, he wants more people on the moon.
there's nothing up
It's
there.
just a rock. There's nothing
Well,
there.
how are you going to discover something if you just give up on it?
We didn't. We spent like 13 people
How many times
up
have you
there.
tried to discover America? One ship goes, there's nothing over there.
You want to go there and take your children and your wife?
Do you know how bored the kids will be? They'll be like, our iPads don't work up here. And now you're done.
All right.
Why? You're close to the satellites. Why wouldn't they work? They just don't work in here.
That's true. And also, average height of a man, 5'9". I just heard from the book.
Okay, 5'9". There we go. Compromise. Scientists also thought we would have bred apes to do household chores by now.
No, apes have rights now, y'all.
Thank you.
Oh, you're
you.
right.
You're
Yeah.
Peter would be agile.
Coco can speak the sign language. Coco the gorilla.
No.
I had a whole stand-up. That's not sign language.
That was part of your stand-up?
Yeah, it was
But you
great.
can sign, correct?
Oh yeah, I can do the alphabet, but that's it.
Give us the punchline.
I'll tell you guys later.
Why?
And that Americans will only work 26 hours a week.
Where?
Sure.
That went the other day.
You're absolutely
I would say average American works 26 hours a week, but they're at work for 50.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I think most people at work, like we talked about it the other day with the 6-day work week, the 4-hour work week, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Glad I was so up on
Yeah,
board.
it seems like
Yeah, the 4-day work week.
Yeah, but I think if you just give somebody like to let them do their work in their own time, I think it'd be quicker and just more efficient.
And it validates them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Well, finally, they also predicted we'd live past 100 years old. Well, some people do. My grandmother-in-law was 105 when she passed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder what that averages out to.
Maybe we could find an average. And I know Lindsay has a 104-year-old great-grandmother. Am I right?
What would you guess before we get it from the booth? I would say the average age is 74 for the.
I would say 75 years old.
Yeah.
I don't think they're even listening.
The booth will tell us.
The booth is not listening to us.
They're on everything.
Okay, cool. Here are some more realistic predictions. Streamageddon is coming. Streamageddon. I didn't get it. Like Hulu, Netflix, and Disney.
Neither did our viewers.
Bundled and brought together. It may replace cable entirely. That happened.
Yeah, but that's what's happening now.
Right. These are realistic predictions.
I don't even know what shows are on what system because
Someone
I just
come up
talk into the thing and like, get me the morning show.
All right,
I think it will be a cost-effective thing. I think you'll figure out what's in your household. Like Jeff likes the UFC, and you've got 2 kids, so I think like the Disney Plus would be good for you.
Yeah.
They got the the ESPN.
connected, right.
So I think you'll figure out
I'm
what's.
DirecTV now.
Yes.
I cut the cable.
Whereas
got
like
that.
you wouldn't have that in your house.
No.
You have
DirecTV Now.
Whatever gets you murder mysteries.
Oh, love
And
them.
Sewing Channel.
Oh, the sewing channel is great. You know why? Because the people that knit together stick together.
Wow.
Next,
Go back to
self-driving
your
cars. Hundreds
Coco
of self-driving
stand-up.
cars are being tested right now, but reports say by the end of the year, we'll see them driving alongside us on the roads.
The end of the year.
Wow.
I don't like that.
I could see it, man. Everything else is automated. I know everything. If somebody said, hey, there's going to be an app where you can just let a stranger sleep in your house, in your bed, you'd have been like, get out of here. Now Airbnb is almost put hotels out of business. Like, everything they said is kind of coming true, and this is already kind of happening.
That's a really good point. I have a great point, but we'll save it for the break because the music's playing me off. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
Do I
hey.
have to say Iran?
I don't know.
Someone says Tori makes me want to start knitting. Huh?
Yeah, well, people love it.
That person doesn't have any friends either?
Come on.
Okay, so really quickly, let's go around the horn. What's the average age for an American?
Male or female?
This is for just life expectancy. And 2016, this is recently.
I would say 76.
Okay.
I'm going to say 78.
Okay.
I think she's right. I'll go 79 just to play Price is Right.
Okay, and I said 74. David, our stage manager, what do you say? 75. 78.69 years. Canada, your husband's going to live nice and long. He'll live to, 82.3 for Canadians. And the United Kingdom is 80. 80.9, basically 81.
But don't you have to continue to live there? And once you move, the stats all screwy.
Probably.
Yeah.
I feel like
it's the
your diet
lifestyle.
would change.
Yeah, I think your lifestyle. I was just talking to my buddy. I was actually just talking to Lindsay. He used to live in London for 4 years, and he said like America's the only country that doesn't offer you like if you want processed food or not processed food, like food in London's a little fattier, but it's not processed. So he goes, I gained a little bit more weight. He goes, America's the only one that doesn't have regulations on that. Every other country in the world has regulations or choices on what you want your food to be, you know?
Our food culture is so bad.
So how do you just go in and say, I'd like my food processed? Like, how does that work?
So they I guess they give you an option
Or
or
like
something.
kids' lunch
Or like at the
might be
grocery store, and nobody buys that, so they don't even carry it.
Wow.
So everything's like fresh. It's like more of
I've heard that that's what they've said about like why Italians, because obviously they still, if you've been in Lebanon and Italy a couple times, they smoke like the world's coming to an end.
Constantly.
And they eat pasta and carbs almost for
But
every
they look
meal.
like they walk
but
everywhere.
they walk everywhere, and apparently their pasta and stuff isn't, like you said, it's not processed.
And they have
so
olive
like
oil
you can
and
have those
healthy
kind
fruits.
of they have wine every day.
Yeah.
It's just
And like in Japan, the soy, some people say like they have very long living in a certain island in Japan, off of Japan. They live to like 110 is their like crazy amount of
I know
age.
you're
They say that it's the amount of soy in their diet that could make that longevity.
And also, it
and
seems
they
like
eat
there's
rice all the
It's like
time.
rice
I
and
heard that
soy or
story, but I don't
something,
remember
yeah.
It seems like a level of like just mental relaxation. Like, I don't want to be stereotypical, but like sometimes I'll just watch like an older like Asian couple walking around. They look like they don't have a care in the world. Like they're just kind of strolling. They're never on their phone or like constantly with this American like, did you do this? Did you sign that? Call me. It's just kind of like there's a calmness.
I need to do more of that.
Tai Chi is really helpful for that.
Right,
I
Are
did.
you studying that too?
I did Tai Chi for a little bit.
Well, you
I'm
can
the
do yoga.
stork.
That's a-
I'm the stork. I'm the stork.
I heard Tai Chi is some nonsense.
No, it
It's
doesn't.
a
Welcome back to DBL. A new study has found that bustier women suffer from colds longer than women with smaller cup sizes. So the reason has to do with leptin, a hormone found in the fat cells in the breasts that reduce the body's ability to fight off illnesses. So would you rather have a bigger chest or a shorter cold?
Definitely a shorter cold. I'll speak from experience. Finally, girls,
You got something.
we win.
So you're telling me if you and Tori attract this or get the same cold, acquire the same virus, you're going to be sick for 2 weeks, or you're going to be sick for a week?
No, she would, or it's not Erica. I don't want to put that in, but an A size would be sick for about 3 days on average. F size would be on average sick for 8.3 days.
So what about a male? So if I acquire that, I'm sick for a day? This makes no sense.
Well, you don't have leptin.
You don't have breasts.
We don't have
like
leptin.
that.
I do have breasts.
Yeah.
Could you milk me?
Name the movie.
That's Meet the Parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a good part.
But seriously, what do you mean I don't have Lipton?
Yeah,
Leptin.
you don't.
Leptin. I like iced tea.
You do have Lipton.
But seriously, what's up? I don't like these studies.
All right, we know that about you, I think. So let us
Makes
know.
no sense.
All right. Here's what's coming up next on DBL.
Gwyneth Paltrow wants to start a wellness revolution, but will her new Netflix show do the trick?
This is dangerous.
It's unregulated. Should I be scared?
Or just freak you out? Then, Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio together again, with the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood co-stars are revealing about their personal lives. And the questions that are off limits when it comes to your significant other. Before you open that can of worms, save yourself and watch DBL.
New information today on the devastating Australian wildfires. 24 people are charged with deliberately setting fires there. Yes, you heard me right. That means they started the fires on purpose. The death toll there continues to rise, with more than 25 people killed already. Not to mention the animals who have died. Officials estimate that number could be in the millions. Now I want to show you some intense video coming in today from the Australian Air Force. Take a look at the view from the cockpit. You can see an eerie orange glow from the flames. Australia's 9 News reports the plane was trying to reach one of the hardest hit towns, but the smoke prevented the crew from doing so. Now I want to show you a map just released by ABC News. The superimposed view of Australia over the U.S. shows how much of our country would be on fire if you compare it to what's happening there. DBL Nation, if you want to help, we'll put the information to donate on our social platforms. This has been Fast Blast for you. As always, I'll update you on any breaking news that comes in throughout the shows, and of course, I'll keep you updated on the Australia wildfires. Bye now.
The Consumer Electronics Show is underway in Las Vegas, but this annual event for tech lovers is no longer where you see the big companies hold influential product launches, but it is the spot to spy the big new trends in tech. Let's connect the dots. While CES is still the place companies like Charmin reveal their toilet paper delivering robot, the big boys in tech like Apple, Amazon, Google all unveil their latest products at their own events. But there are still trends to spot, like even sharper TVs. Did you just shell out for a top-of-the-line 4K TV for Christmas? Well, now 8K television is making its debut at CES. The LG model features 4 times as many pixels as 4K, and you've got to admit, that's a lot of pixels. And Samsung is debuting a TV that can go vertical to make it easier to watch social media videos. Apparently that's easier than getting people to shoot horizontal video with their phones. A lot of buzz this year at CES is about 5G. While it can help you download a movie a lot faster, the experts say it's a real game changer for more important things.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
And I didn't learn that.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live. We are live. Let's get started. I have a lot to say on this, and I hope the rest of you do too. Gwyneth Paltrow's coming under fire for her new Netflix series that some say promote reckless and unfounded wellness topics. The Goop Lab explores psychedelic drug therapies, exorcisms, and orgasm therapy. Let's take a look.
What we try to do at Goop is to explore ideas that may seem out there or too scary.
Are you guys ready to go out in the field and make a ruckus?
Just another day at the office.
This is dangerous.
It's unregulated. Should I be scared?
So I just want to be clear with everyone. They were sued at some point. You can't just make blatant health claims and not consider yourself to be open to sue. So when you remember, Gwyneth Paltrow had eggs that you said should be put inside your body for women, the jade eggs, this is it. She was sued for $145,000 and also told that she can no longer, as a result, make any claims regarding the efficacy of its products without possessing competent and reliable scientific evidence. And she is, I think, selling misinformation, and it's dangerous.
How about CBD oil? There's no proof that works.
There's none.
So how do you sell that?
Well, she was saying if you use a jade egg, it will help with muscles in your vaginal muscles. Excuse me, and that is proven not to be true, and actually could be proven harmful. So because of that, she got sued.
Well, I understand that,
A
but
great point
like,
was just dismissed.
No, it was a good point.
I get it. I get, and I understand that, and I appreciate that. Yeah. But Gwyneth Paltrow did not make the jade egg, and she wasn't the only person who was on the jade egg train. I think when you're, she wasn't. I think when you're talking about being on the forefront of anything new, then you're exposing yourself to something that is going to be somewhat of a risk. I do agree if you're talking about medical claims, then you should be more responsible. However, I mean, Al just fell in love with cryotherapy and thinks it's the best thing ever, and that was like within the last year. When I was doing cryotherapy 5 years ago, people called me a lunatic. Everybody's getting their eyebrows microblade or whatever the blah blah blah
on your face or the eyebrows.
Taboo, yeah, on your eyebrows. I get my eyebrows tattooed. When I was doing that 5 years ago, everybody thought I was insane.
But did anyone tell you that if you go into the cryo box, it could actually harm you, or the tattooing could harm you? Because what I worry about,
people said everything, breathing. If I breathe wrong, someone's like, that's going to affect you. So I do think that there's something too, especially when you've tried so many things and things are coming out that may actually enhance your style of living. I don't see a problem if you're not risking your life.
She has no responsibility in what she's saying?
I'm not saying she doesn't have responsibility. I'm saying medical claims are different, but there are a lot of things that aren't necessarily medical claims. These are just things that she feels makes herself feel better. And I'm sure she's experimented with a lot of things.
I just know someone who tried the eggs and it really harmed them, and I just think we all laugh about it, but it can be very, very serious to put things in your body and to take it as sort of a funny little thing. It makes me worried how reckless it is. But I didn't
even know that what's her name? Gwyneth Paltrow did the jade eggs because I saw it all over Bravo.
Oh, well, people talked about it as the goop thing. But I hear what you're saying. You do have to take risks. I just worry she is reckless. That's my only worry. And I'll have to watch to find out. All right, the Golden Globes were Sunday, but Stephanie Jones, what is everyone still talking about?
Well, Tori, we can't get enough from the stars who had quite the night in LA over the weekend, like Joey King and Patricia Arquette, who co-starred in the act. And watch closely. They were having fun filming a video for InStyle magazine's after party when Joey bonks ahead on Patricia's trophy. And Joey tweeted, "Patricia Arquette accidentally hit me in the head with a Golden Globe. That sentence will give me bragging rights for the rest of my life." And I mean, it sure does, never mind the bruise. And rumor has it that the Globes want Amy Poehler and Tina Fey back to co-host the show next year. They both said they were finished hosting after a 3-year stint in 2015, but it looks like we'll have to wait and see. And we all remember that Tom Hanks made everyone cry on Sunday after thanking his entire family for an award, including his 29-year-old son, Chet. But now everyone's talking about Chet, some accusing him of cultural appropriation. I mean, watch this.
Big up the whole island massive. It's your boy Chetana, coming straight from the Golden Globes, you want to say? Me father Tom Hanks presenting in a what soon forward come. Big up, tune in.
Okay, so he posted that, but he's now doubling down with a follow-up video. Here it is, accent in tow, talking about how much the first video has blown up.
Yo.
So, yeah, what do you reckon, guys?
I'm gonna say, Chet looks high as hell. Why were you even playing?
Yeah.
Well,
what?
I'm gonna ask,
he does.
Stephanie, that was a Jamaican patois, which is a really right? And do you think it was appropriate or no?
I mean, I would say no, because he's not Jamaican. I mean, as well, like, considering his dad and he's on the red carpet, I don't know. I just find it all a little odd.
Yeah. Stephanie, let me ask you this real fast. If he did a video in front of an Italian restaurant with an Italian accent, would we be talking about this story at all?
I don't know. Maybe probably not quite as much, I don't think. But
not at all. If he had done an Italian accent on the red carpet, I think people would be like, what the hell was that? Just like most people were doing.
But Jeff's right. I can always be like, I make a macaroni, and no one's like, oh my God, but I make a Chinese or an Asian American, and that can be considered racist. Why is there a difference? Is it because some cultures
they were lampooned for years through the government propaganda, obviously with Asians, with the war. There a lot of cartoons depicted people of Asian descent. So that's why. Nobody
wants to hear a logical answer.
Right. I love how we're searching for this mad logic when really the boy didn't want to go to this boring event, even though he was supporting his father, and he got a little too high and walked the red carpet. And then his follow-up was a little higher and talked about it again. I don't know why we even playing.
All right, Stephanie, do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay, Stephanie Jones. Dr. Jones and Dr. Cobb are on the case. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood co-stars Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio are together again, this time for a podcast with celebrity friend Marc Maron. He asks the actors when they knew they hit it big. Leo said it was when his little movie Titanic came out. Take a look.
And I went to like the liquor store to get a soda, and there were the SUVs, and then they just kept following me. Every day of my life.
Right.
And
Yes.
it was,
And to
I was
this
like,
day.
okay, this life will no longer be the same.
That happens to this day.
No, it doesn't.
Not anymore.
Doesn't?
No, it doesn't. Not as much anymore.
I'm a little disgruntled with you now that I hear that. Because my disaster of a personal life, probably.
I want to ask you guys a question, and then I have a question for Jeff.
Okay, plan, man.
My first question is, wasn't he famous before Titanic?
He was
Or
in growing pains a long time before
Or he
that.
just wasn't that. He wasn't.
He was an actor. He wasn't necessarily famous.
Right, he was What's Eating Gilbert Grape, but he wasn't Leo.
Oh, so that
But he did like Romeo and Juliet, Basketball
Right.
Diaries. He had a bunch of movies
But
and a
Titanic
TV show.
made him, like-
Titanic put him to that stratosphere.
And my question for you, Jeff, is like, I think you're the person on the panel that's. I think we've all seen intermittent growth in terms of our notoriety, but you it seemed like it was like from one day to the next with the Big Brother. You always talk about like how you left that soundstage and how your life was different because you were just in that house.
Yeah, and I mean, by no means am I comparing myself to anyone like that. But it was a weird transition coming out of that house because I honestly said on the show, I'm like, nobody's watching this. And when I came out of the show, my brother had like a stack of magazines. We stayed up all night, like going on the internet, like, what is going on? It was crazy that people knew who I was after that show. I didn't think that was it. But that wasn't my moment where I knew things were changing. Like, I want to ask you guys too, if there's one like moment in your life where you saw yourself change like kind of in front of your eyes. And mine was before I got on Big Brother. I always talk about positivity and how I got there. And I don't want to say I was in a bad place, but I was in a bad place mentally with my headspace. And my old boss, long story short, used to let me listen to positivity 2, 3, 4 hours before I would get on the telephones, and I'd be a telemarketer. And he taught me about positivity. He knew me when I was 16. He saw what I became at 26, and that was not where he expected my life to go. And he transformed my life in a positive way. And he told me one day, and he goes, I see a change in you, everyone sees a change in you, and I hope you see a change in yourself. And I did. And he goes, in 1 week, he goes, around the corner is your destiny because you change yourself as a person. 1 week later, I got Big Brother. So that's where I saw myself and my destiny change. And when I got Big Brother, I knew that it was going to change the course of my life. And I'm sitting here today because of that man and because of that show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And that's what, I mean, really, you put that in the universe and it happened the next week.
Yeah, it was
Erica
pretty crazy.
manifest, she'll want a cup of coffee and it'll come from the sky. No.
We're laughing, but kind of.
Hey,
I believe it too.
I'm telling you, like, here's the thing. It's always a time where when you said you had all this negative energy or like negative things in your brain, like a lot of times to me, I interpret that as you are moving in the wrong direction. Like your mind is telling you that whatever you're doing or whatever you're absorbing is not for you. And that's why it feels like it's so clogged. And when you're talking about that breakthrough, I think that breakthrough is very aesthetic. People can see that in you because what it's really doing is allowing things to come in that you were too busy blocking with trying to have your own plan for things. And like for me, I remember being grounded in my, when I was 12 years old, calling the radio station, WGCI, every day until they would put me on the air.
A birthday?
In Chicago, well, in the afternoons. And he gave me, Crazy Howard McGee gave me my own segment. And at the end of the summer, he said, are you going to be a doctor or a lawyer? And I said, no, Crazy, I'm going to be a radio girl. So I just kept saying I'm going to be a radio girl. And I built my studio in my room, which was like a fake karaoke thing. And then when I got to college, they offered me an internship. And so I said, I'm going to be on this morning show, which was the biggest morning show in Chicago. I'm like, I'm going to go to all the small towns. I'm going to do this morning show. And when I was 24 years old, they offered me this morning show. And I remember it was like October in Chicago. It was the day before Halloween, and it was so cold. And for some reason, I didn't have a coat on, and I walked all the way home. And when I got home, I like opened the door and I just remember thinking, holy crap. This is what I said my entire life, and now it's here. And it was just like something in me was like, no, this is what I'm gonna do because I'm gonna try it this way, I'm gonna try it that way. And when that happens, it's like, it's the craziest experience because you realize that what you have inside of you is bigger than anything anyone can touch. And it's like, you're anointed. Like this is for you. And when something's really for you, we've all been in auditions. No one can take that away from you. And so when you said that, it's so important that people see that. And when people are trying to change their lives at the beginning of the year, I want them to really look at themselves. I want them to really feel that for themselves because we're all capable of it.
Wow. Yeah. The power we never knew we had, huh?
I love that.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Man, I can talk about that like all night.
I know, I see you tearing up too.
I'm tearing up too.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. We need tissues. We'll be right back.
This is in Hawaii.
Who's responsible for the deaths of Russell and Shirley Dermond? Investigative reporter Jessica Knoll joins us to dive deeper into the case in DBL's True Crime Chronicles. Join the conversation on Next DBL.
I was telling Erica, I'm like, that stuff's real. So when she gets emotional, I get emotional with her because it's like, I believe in everything she's saying. She believes in what I'm saying. And for people, when I'm like, write down your goals or do this, I'm not just saying it because I'm saying it because it works. And if you believe in yourself and believe in the process and believe in starting here and working your way up, it will happen for you. No matter what you want to do in your life, it will happen. But telling someone that and them doing that are two totally different things. So you have to believe in yourself first, and it took me 26 years to do that. Or maybe I did along the way and I lost that and somehow I had to get back on that path. So I don't want to get too deep here. It's something that I obviously take serious, Erica takes seriously.
I would say it's very true. When somebody tells me that they want to do stand-up comedy, the first question I ask them is not have they called the comedy club or gone and Googled how to be a stand-up. My thing is like, have you written a joke down? Have you just written it on the back of a receipt in your phone? Because just writing something is such a big deal because you're almost beholden to it. And I remember us having this conversation last year about writing down your goals. Last year, my goals was to finish my movie script, 120 pages, what I did, write a kid's book, which I did, and write the first chapter of another book that I was working on, which I did, and I finished those, and I crammed at the end of the year to make sure I got those 3 things done, but I worked on them over the course of the year, and just writing them down.
Right.
Or a picture.
Is so important.
I put a picture of Gabrielle Union in the t-shirt getting her hair done, and I was like, one day I'll have my hair done, and then I have someone getting their wardrobe fixed, and when Dina, remember Dina? Mm-hmm. She came over to my house, we took a picture in front of the stupid picture of my wardrobe person coming to my house, and I had that stupid picture up for 5 years. Mm. And I looked at it every day. I'm like, I will have someone help me with my wardrobe. And Dina was there, and we went like this. And that's it. Yeah, 5 years. This one comes into my life.
That's great. Manifest.
Dre's like, that wasn't on my vision board.
Welcome back to DBL. Are you getting on your partner's nerves without even knowing it?
Or your talk show host, partner.
You're not even on camera. Here are some of the questions you should never, now you are, you should never ask your significant other. First up, are you mad at me? GQ magazine says this is a huge no-no. Instead, experts suggest saying, hey, something on your mind? And Michael Dean, our producer, said it also, hey, your attitude's changed. There's something going on. And I think that's a really good question.
Yeah, I think if you come at it like with a genuine curiosity, I think it'll be better. Yeah. But if you go, hey, something on your mind, like if you come off aggressive, that question could have it. But if you're just like, hey, are you go be cool? Like
the old, it's not what you said, it's how you said it.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Are you mad at me makes the responsibility now on me to explain what you did wrong, which is so annoying.
Right, yeah.
Well, it's just annoying to be asked, are you mad at me?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Especially in that tone.
I just say, like, I let the mad happen, and then I come back and say, are we friends again?
There you go. That's a good one.
But you don't resolve it?
That was it.
That was it.
I like the way she handles it.
Generally, are we friends again does open up the conversation because it's like so silly that it's like, okay.
This is so ridiculous.
Most of the time, it is a ridiculous
That's a good
thing.
point. That's a good point. Next up, why are you always doing that? Oh my God. Yeah, experts say instead of attacking your partner, share what you do like about them. Instead, politely ask them to put the cap on the toothpaste.
Tori, you pointed right at me. What's
because
up?
sometimes you're like, why do you always do this?
No, I'm not. No, there's a question mark at the end because I'm like, why do you do that? It's so weird, the things that you do on a daily basis. I'm like, how does your mind work? I'm genuinely interested.
Okay, that's less.
Because you pretty much think the opposite of me. So if I do something, you do the opposite. I'm like, why did you do that?
I see.
Just curious.
Offense not taken anymore. All right, how about this one? Why do you never do what I want? First of all, that's a double negative.
super.
Thank you. Instead, experts say you should take ownership and focus on how you might be able to improve the situation. My therapist said this. Don't always, when you're in a trigger, people tend to go in trigger circles. So I trigger you, you trigger me. Now we're getting bigger. Now we're getting bigger. Stop the trigger circle. Call it what it is. We're triggering each other and say, let's problem solve. How do we problem solve this?
See,
do you like it with the music?
No, I totally understand that. I think what people have to understand in any type of conflict is no one wants to feel like they're walking away without something.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to figure out a way that both parties can win in some capacity.
That's smart.
So it's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be even.
But you have to get something.
But you have to walk away with something.
That's smart.
What if I enjoy the trigger circle?
Then you're
comfortable in
psychotic. Psychos enjoy the trigger circle. It's true. And finally, are you telling me the truth? Experts say don't even ask this question. You either trust your partner or you don't.
I feel like that's the last question every guy gets when he realizes that she knows the answer to it, and she's giving you one more shot. She's like, are you telling me the truth? She knows. She literally has the chase receipt of where you were and how much you spent.
She has the receipt.
That's your last chance, fellas. So like, I wish I could tell 18-year-old Al Jackson this. Anytime a woman asks you a question, she knows the answer. If you know that, you will have a much better life. Well, a woman does not ask a question like, I don't know.
How do you respond to that? Like, did you cheat on me? No. And I say, are you telling me the truth? What would 18-year-old Al say now with your advice?
I would still panic and shut down.
And it doesn't help you.
It's just,
You get all sweaty.
Yeah,
Why do you
what?
smell like that?
Yeah.
Coming up on DBL.
Loud in here.
A young hockey fan battles for her life, and in doing so, she inspires an entire community. Her amazing story coming up next in Heart Threads.
Hi guys, I'm here to guide you to your nearest exit. This is in honor of Peter, the pilot for The Bachelor.
Yay!
So, The Bachelor started last night, so Travis, Angelica, and I are here to break it down. What do you guys think?
I need support emotional animal as well for the 3-hour episode.
Right? It was a little long.
They were extra dramatic this first episode,
with Hannah.
Yeah.
I'm all about that Hannah Brown coming back. If you don't know, she was the previous Bachelorette. She had Peter on her season. She let him go. Clearly a mistake, guys. I think they could be together, don't you? She never should have let him go.
She clearly still has feelings.
So the episode ends, right, with us not knowing if she's going to stay or not.
Yep.
So what do you guys think?
I think she'll stay.
You
and
do?
She'll compete against the other Hannah.
You do?
No, I think she'll be there for one more episode. The girls are going to get so mad.
They're going to get savage and brutal, and it'll be so bad for her that she'll be like, no, I can't stay.
Well, she spent more time on ABC with Dancing with the Stars. So
that's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying, obviously, producers made her do this because she was still under contract with ABC, so she kind of couldn't say no when they asked her to come on, but I don't think that's even the case. I think she's in love with him still.
Yeah.
I think she realizes I made a mistake picking whatever his name was. What was his name? Jed? Yeah, ew, gross. Like, so gross. So DBL Nation, let us know what you think about The Bachelor. Are you watching this season? Are you over it? I think for all of us, it's just like a guilty pleasure. We know it's bad TV, but for us,
watch it with us.
It's the best. Watch it with us and let us know what you think. Bye.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Hard Threads is all about a young hockey fan who has gained many fans of her own. Watch how she's inspired an entire community.
This Blues superfan was officially enshrined in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Layla Anderson was diagnosed with HLH, a rare autoimmune disease. Layla found a support system in the Blues after meeting them while trick-or-treating at St. Louis Children's Hospital.
Just to know that all these boys support me is unreal.
As they all sought the perfect bone marrow donor to save Layla's life, friends and family wore Layla's Strong bracelets to support her cause. Her friend Lucas wore one during a family trip to the Hockey Hall of Fame. While there, he felt that Layla needed a permanent place in Blues history, so he shared her story with the museum curator.
I told him it's Layla Anderson, the Layla Anderson, the girl who inspired a city.
Now the Layla Strong wristbands are officially enshrined in the exhibit.
For them to try so hard to get it in and it actually worked just meant so much to me.
Layla has since found a bone marrow match and is cured of HLH.
The Layla Anderson is an inspiration. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty Blast. I'm Jeray Banks, but you might know me at Jeray for the Slay on all social media platforms. So today we're talking about skin that slays. And today's question actually came from a viewer who asked, how do I create a skincare regimen? Now, this is actually really popular, guys. A lot of people don't know how to create their skincare regimen or routine. So I put together a simple 6-step for a twice-a-day skincare routine, okay? Now, for morning or daytime, you wanna start your day off with cleansing / toning. Now, I put a slash there because not everyone needs to overly cleanse their skin morning and night. Some people are better off just toning in the morning. With doing more of a cleanse or tone in the morning, you want to make sure that you're not over-processing your skin in the daytime. This is going to mean that your skin feels dry or overly irritated when you cleanse in the morning. Maybe when you're doing that, you instead want to move over to a toner. So step 1 is cleanse or tone in the morning. Figure out what your skin likes better. Now step 2 is going to be applying an eye cream. My favorite for daytime is a tinted eye cream. And these guys are great for making sure that you're concealing slightly without having to wear full concealer underneath your eye. Sometimes we're just going day to day or running to the grocery store real quick and you want that quick pick-me-up. Now, number 3 is going to be utilizing a serum in your skincare routine. These guys are great for really giving you that vitamin of nutrient that you need for that change in your skin. So sometimes you're using a retinol, sometimes a vitamin C, or sometimes a vitamin E serum to really boost up your skin regimen in general. Second to last, we're going to be looking at a moisturizer, something to really emulsify and hydrate your skin to make sure that your skin is looking its best and most hydrated that it can possibly look and be and feel that way too. And last but not least, you want to go ahead and put on some SPF for your daytime. Now this can be in your daytime moisturizer, but the best way to have some sun protection is going to be utilizing a separate SPF. So some great ones out there is the Pierre Thomas Roth powder, maybe Skin Science, and a lot more out there. Now, if you guys have more questions, feel free to write in at Jeray for the Slay on all social media platforms. And while you're there, go ahead and follow, click a like or two, and I'll holla back at you, boo. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.
well, you're going to be a senior soon. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Wow.
13 years.
Sorry, we were just having.
I'm gonna order from that weird square on the Denny's menu. It's happening. It's going down in the DM. Yeah.
Good thing we have producers.
Is that in the Denny's meals?
Yeah.
I just had to bring that up because that was shocking. Welcome back to DBL. We're only a week into the new year.
How old are you, buddy?
I'm turning 38 in 10 days.
Can y'all right behind me? Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Into the new year, we've got our first viral video hack. Apparently, this is how you peel a hard-boiled egg. This is good for soft foods. For Al, go ahead. Okay, we're gonna recreate it here, but remember, Jeff, when you shake it like you mean it. Oh,
all right, we don't
I
have
don't like the direction that top is in.
All right, is that good?
Yeah, that's good, buddy. That's
man, see, it busted up in there.
No, now try it.
You told me you went too hard.
The guy went hard. Let's see what happens. Drop it in.
All right.
Did it work?
Yeah, it did.
Wow.
Look at that.
Oh, what? That worked. No, it worked.
No,
Half the egg is still in the shell.
It took a lot of it off, but.
See, just like that wrapping paper hack.
If you want a mini
hashtag clickbait.
Erica's not letting that wrapper paper.
No, that's not what happened. All right.
To the death.
See you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Be good to each other.
Here, Al.
The Selective Service website crashed over the weekend because so many people were going to look up answers about a U.S. draft. And there's a lot of misinformation out there, like sites falsely trying to make you pay to register and claims you can't go to college without signing up. We're breaking down the facts, not to add any anxiety, but to let you know what's really going on. First off, we don't have a draft right now. We haven't had an open draft in the U.S. since 1973. A draft itself is when U.S. citizens are actively being called and enlisted in the military without volunteering. It requires an act of Congress. Both houses would have to vote to pass it, and the president would have to sign off on it. Now, if that did happen, which again hasn't occurred since Vietnam, that doesn't just mean men and women would start being drafted left and right. In fact, women wouldn't be drafted at all. As the law stands right now, only men would be drafted. And in the U.S., all men between 18 and 25 are legally required to register. That's where these memes came from. Many posters commenting that they registered for the draft by applying for a FAFSA student loan. And that's actually true. To qualify for FAFSA or any federal aid, a male U.S. citizen does have to be registered with the Selective Service System. Now, you can do it on a FAFSA application when you get your driver's license or just mailing your form in. Bottom line, it's a requirement. And failure to register is actually a felony. But registering for a draft isn't an actual draft. The Selective Service has a list of eligible people, but Congress would have to declare war and they'd have to legally instate a draft before they could use that list. At that point, the men, 18 to 25, who registered with Selective Service could be drafted, but it's not a guarantee. According to the Selective Service, an actual draft would use a lottery system to call registered men. They'd then have to pass a series of physical and mental tests to be considered. Now, we understand the concern that comes anytime someone starts talking about a draft, but it's important to remember we haven't had one in more than 45 years, and it would take multiple acts of Congress before people would even start getting called. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
Talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
2 stunning videos from Iran, a massive funeral stampede as Trump deploys dozens of fighter jets. Then, Judge Judy backs a presidential candidate, but does her endorsement matter?
I like to say you can judge someone's character by what they've done.
Plus, are you mad at me? The questions you should never ask your partner according to the experts. And exorcisms, orgasms, and psychics, a first look at Gwyneth Paltrow's new Netflix series. Can she start a wellness revolution, or is the show just plain weird?
I had an exorcism.
Oh, wow.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Tuesday, January 7th. I'm here with Brandon, Tori, Erica. I'm Jeff. Sam has the day off. Let's jump right in, guys, because tensions with Iran are heating up right now. There are reports of a deadly stampede during the giant funeral procession with millions of mourners grieving for the slain general. At least 40 people were killed and another 213 people were injured in the stampede. Meantime, the U.S. military, in a huge show of force, launched 52 fully armed stealth fighter jets from a base in Utah in what's called an elephant walk. I never knew that. Each jet took off one after the other. That's a total of $4.2 billion worth of U.S. military machinery. That's a lot of bucks.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just reading just now, Nikki Haley is getting slammed because she says the Democrats are mourning Soleimani. No one is mourning. No one wants to go to war right now. If you think about it, Jimmy Carter said that America has only had peace for 16 years out of its 242 years of existence. I believe everyone's tired of sending their brothers, their mothers, their sons over to fight someone else's war. So I look at it as, yeah, we can have those jets moonwalk, elephant walk, crip walk. It doesn't matter. No one wants to go to war right now, and I think that a lot of America feels the same way.
Well, I really appreciate what you're saying. Look, Warren was on The View and was talking, Elizabeth Warren, and said this. Was it wrong that he is dead, Soleimani? No. This guy is a bad guy that's killed Americans.
Right.
Was the response correct? And that's a really good point, because you're not a king or a queen that can say, take off her head, take off his head. That's a monarchy. What we have is the voice of the people, meaning our Congress, to be involved. By not including the Intel Committee, you might have missed someone in there that said, this is a bad idea because of this. My feeling is we're going to be seeing it, and I don't want it to happen, an assassination of someone high up within our U.S. government. That's what the rumblings are, that is the proportionate response to what we did.
It's not rumblings. They're saying it very loud and clear, and they're saying it publicly, which is terrifying. My thing is, there are men and women who are going to unknown parts to do who knows what, and these are people's loved ones. And when people are sitting back playing Monday morning quarterback on politics of the X's and O's, or worse, joking about it on social media, that's where I'm affected, because I feel that every day. And I think that if we felt it like these are actual people, American citizens who should be protected, and we should be thinking about their lives, then perhaps it would change the narrative of this conversation. Interesting.
Absolutely. All right, guys, speaking of politics, TV's most popular judge, Judge Judy, has backed a presidential candidate for the first time. Guess who it is? It's Michael Bloomberg. Check out this new TV ad in his favor.
Mike Bloomberg has done amazing things and will be a truly great president. No one comes close to Mike Bloomberg's executive achievement, government experience, and impactful philanthropy. His steady leadership will unite our country and bring us through these very challenging times.
Bloomberg, huh?
I know this is going to sound crazy, but I do believe that Judge Judy can make a quantifiable impact on the Bloomberg campaign.
I
absolutely do.
I think she can move the needle, but not a significant amount to.
Well, who knows?
Right.
In a very flooded, a flooded pool, who knows what will move the needle?
And to be honest, he's here, and he needed to get somewhere. She just moved the needle a little bit.
But Erica, I mean, black and Latinos are always going to bring up stop and frisk. And Judge Judy was asked about this, and she didn't have, to her defense, she didn't have that much time to discuss it on The View. But she was talking about how it goes back to 1968, Terry versus Ohio. They're called Terry stops. It just enhanced when Bloomberg was the mayor of New York, New York. He was the mayor of New York, basically. There we go.
Tori was on the cliff and then went down.
But look, black and Latinos were 9 times more likely to be stopped than white. So it's easy for Judge Judy to go up there and be like, oh, well, you know, the NYPD, they just kind of enhanced it. She was never stopped and frisked. You know what I'm saying? So she never had to go through that. And there's one thing, I get it. Bloomberg went to the black church, as they always do, and they apologized. But we want to see some people like they're doing with marijuana. We want to see him go in and kind of exonerate some people from their sentences from that stop and frisk.
You and I were talking, if he had said on the first 100 days of my presidency, I will exonerate blank and blank from my stop and frisk policy that I now see is wrong, that could go a long way in moving people's votes. That's all I had to say about that.
But I get what you said. She's got a lot of juice. She's got a lot of juice.
Right. I'm just talking about, as opposed to talking about the actual issues, I'm talking about the strategy.
Right.
And the strategy really is to get a candidate who is going to be capable of going toe-to-toe with Trump. And on just black and white, it really does look like that could be a possibility.
Yeah.
And I think that she can help.
Well, I'm glad you guys pointed out actual politics instead of saying Judge Judy's my favorite TV show, so I'm going to vote for Bloomberg.
Right.
I'll be
Because
the
that's
deep
crazy.
one today. I'll be the
But you
deep
know
one.
how people vote,
I do know
Jeff.
how they vote, and I'm sure people vote like that. I'm
People
trying to tell
vote,
you
I think,
don't.
every year for Bart Simpson gets like a certain amount of the vote every year. People write him in. Yeah.
And an apprentice, celebrity apprentice gets a lot as well.
Yes, he sure does. All right, guys, the Las Vegas Police Department has released surveillance video, get this, showing a 93-year-old shooting suspect, and a warning to our viewers, this video is graphic. The video shows the gunman entering an apartment leasing office and shooting a maintenance worker, apparently upset over water damage that flooded his unit. Police then responded to the call, tackling the 93-year-old suspect to the floor. The man was arrested and charged with attempted murder. Wow.
Is that Kaiser Soze? That's what I look like.
Look at that guy.
Oh.
That guy does, I mean, sorry to judge, but that guy does not look right, huh?
Hey, you guys!
I mean, it's crazy that at 93, at the end of your life, you're the one saying, I'm going to go shoot someone. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like the movie Miracle at St. Anna, directed by Spike Lee. What? You feel bad for that guy? You just saw him on tape shoot someone.
Sometimes your analogies, they laugh.
Or just sometimes. Okay.
What? Erica's used to it.
When you said imagine a 93-year-old, yes, I can, because to be quite honest, where I remember Big Mama being at the top of some stairs on the west side of Chicago saying that her gun was bigger. And I remember that very clearly. Wow. Very clearly. So don't be messing with people just because they're older.
He's locked up, Erica.
He gone.
He gone.
All right, guys, let's get this last story in because I got a lot to say about it. This new study has found that bustier women suffer from colds longer than women with smaller cup sizes. The reason has to do with leptin. Am I saying that right? Leptin, a hormone found in the fat cells in the breast that can reduce the body's ability to fight off illness.
Okay, let me explain. So
Okay, please.
apparently, according to this study, if you have a AA size, you are likely to have an average of 3 days of a cold. And if you are someone with an F size breast size, the cups get bigger as you go up with the alphabet. You have an 8.3 day cold. So Erica's like, yes.
Yeah. So all you girls, all you women who got teased,
now you know.
We win.
Yeah, right, finally. It's amazing.
So, because you guys pointed out what's going on here, you're going to have a cold longer than Erica every time?
Apparently, my whole entire family would have. We have women of ample bosoms, which is wonderful, and I'm so grateful for it. But it can cause back problems and issues. And now, apparently, I now know a cold can be lasting longer because we're full of leptin.
So, what about me?
You got no leptin,
I have
Jeff.
breasts.
No, you don't have.
Yes, I do.
No, testosterone, you have a different setup. You don't have fat tissues like a breast.
What about if I'm 400 pounds? I have man boobs.
I think those are filled with something other than leptin, though, no?
Well, they're filled with fatty cells, and that's apparently what we're talking about.
All right.
What do you mean, all right? I'm making a point. Every time we do studies, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't think you do have leptin, but I have to look into that.
I don't know if I have leptin.
Okay.
But what I want a short cold.
You're feeling leapt out.
I want a short cold.
Men do have leptin, so now what's with this study?
Okay.
I should have a cold for 3 days? This has been going on since Christmas. I'm stuffy.
Oh, boy. Who hurt you? What's going on? You all
These
right?
studies, they're crazy.
Jeez Louise.
They make me feel crazy.
Well, you sound it, too, so it's okay.
It's all the leptin going through my veins. DBL is live and coming up. Gwyneth Paltrow is turning her controversial lifestyle brand into someone just gave me a candy, a Netflix show. But will she really be able to convince women to push the boundaries with their bodies? Plus, the top question you should never ask your significant other about their leptin levels. No, I'm just kidding. You might be shocked when you see the list, and you, the viewer, are the fifth host. Should learning about the LGBTQ community be mandatory in middle school? We're sharing your comments on the controversial curriculum next.
I didn't want the Erica side.
I don't think you have enough information on this.
You're right, I don't. With the information given, if I have leptin in my body, which I do, and we all have leptin, and we all attract the same cold from work, that means Tori will be out 2 weeks, Erica will be out a week, and I should be out 2 days.
Well, maybe it is true. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if they've
You're right,
asked
but
men.
if you look at it scientifically,
answer to what you're asking.
I think this. if we all catch a cold and 2 of us have brown eyes and 2 of us have blue eyes, someone's cold is going to last longer. And by using that, you're going to say blue-eyed people have colds longer.
Scientific data is
no,
found
it's
by
not.
empirical evidence of actually
No, it's not. You take a number of 100 people, and no matter what, someone's cold is going to last longer. It has nothing to do with your eye color.
It's supposed to be the point of one variable.
You're never going to change
No,
this.
the point of one variable in an equation is so that it can be repeated over and over. When it's repeated, that means that it's empirical evidence.
I don't like it. I had this cold for 2 weeks, and Tori's bosoms are way bigger.
Okay, let me say something very quickly. Everyone's like, I'm so glad Jeff is moderating. So is Tori. You're doing a great job. And I just want to say I'm glad I'm not moderating.
Except for that first one when Al went like this around the camera, and I was looking at Al, not the story.
But it's nice to be like, okay, that's nice. It's
I get too distracted when someone does something. I'm like, what was that?
You literally were like, hey, someone just handed me candy.
But then Al just makes me laugh, so it makes me
It's
giggle.
really good.
Anyways, I hate studies. That was that. I know, thanks, buddy, but
Hey, how come you didn't hand us
it's
all-
going to enhance my leptin levels.
You know, every single day I'm looking for a study.
I'm going to debunk it every day. Who's with me, DBL Nation? That makes no sense, right?
You are kind of stopped up right now.
I know. And dude, I'm like,
You work out. You
I
go to
work
the
out,
sauna.
I'm clean.
You got 2 kids under 4.
That's true.
I don't know if it's like from the sauna, like if I go in there and the steam.
You have like 2 human.
Welcome back to DBL. Time for fifth host. Soon, all New Jersey students will be required to learn about the history and impact of the LGBTQ community. The curriculum goes into effect statewide in the fall and will be mandatory starting in middle school. Education officials say this will boost awareness and inclusivity, but some parents are concerned it will lead to unnecessary conversations about sex. So, DBL Nation, should LGBTQ studies be mandatory? And be careful here, because the first time I even talked about this, I slipped into that sex category. So let's try to keep that out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. Dimitri from Facebook says, I think it's more important for students to learn life skills like entrepreneurship, cooking, parenting, hygiene, mental health, and financial management. I agree with you, Dimitri, but what if a LGBTQ person had a contribution to one of those categories that you're talking about? I think we need to honor that person because they've done something well for society, you know? So like Jeff said, we're not talking sex here. You read the article and you'll see that it's about, you know, honoring the contributions.
And also just like life skills of knowing different cultures and different people is also super important. I would say sometimes more than education,
Absolutely.
in my point of view.
Yeah.
Donnie from Facebook says, there's so many contributions from LGBTQ people that are overlooked. It's time that we recognize who these people are in full color. This could only create an inclusive new generation of leaders. Brilliantly said, I think, Donnie. Here's the deal. I'll just say, I'm sorry, my hair's sticking out. I'm trying to fix it. My bad. That I have a ton of LGBTQ friends. And had they had a class in which Matthew Shepard was discussed, or Don't Ask, Don't Tell was discussed, and why that happened, and why Democrats took so long to get to legalizing same-sex marriage, they would, I think, felt like they had a place in our history instead of on the edge. And when you do feel like you're on the edge, what do? You self-harm. You experiment. You don't know yourself. I talked to Dre, and he says sometimes you don't find someone to be with until your 20s or 30s because it's not even discussed in high school. So you're always a little delayed. I think this would make you feel welcome. It would make you feel proud and that you're part of something bigger.
Our makeup artist, Dre.
Dre, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Well, Heather from Facebook says, if this happens where I live, my child will be homeschooled. This doesn't make sense. Heather, I would say you're the parent and you can do whatever you think is appropriate for your child, but I would caution you that interpersonal communications are going to be more vital than any arithmetic or science or anything that your child can learn, because if they want to have a job, they need to understand that there is a whole world out here filled with diversity, and much of that diversity is going to come in the form of their advancement. And I think when we talk about isolating people, when we isolate people or we don't talk about them in order to erase them, that's only from your world.
Yeah.
But we live out here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're out of time, but I couldn't agree more. Well said.
Go ahead, Eric.
All right, guys, coming up on DBL LDC. Me and Brad Pitt only call him that. Leonardo DiCaprio is world famous, but there's one thing that rarely happens to him anymore. Can you guess what it is? We're friends, I already know. And from fewer headaches in checkout lines at stores to the streaming service revolution, we got the top predictions for 2020.
Okay, to be honest, I want to continue to talk about the fifth host just now, because why every time we get to talking about LGBTQ, first thing people think, sex. Is going to lead to some sort of sex, some sort of conversation about sex. And that's not what we were talking about at all with this. And I think, Erica, you had a great point how people would try and keep their kids in like some sort of box to like keep them away from the real world. Then they get to the real world.
And they don't know what to do.
They don't know. They don't know how to handle themselves.
Taking it out of that specific subject. So I went to college with someone. It was my freshman year. I'll never forget this.
They also predict we'd live past 100 years old. Then we talk.
We're going to school in downtown Chicago.
Okay, but
so that's already like this person's coming from like a very homogenized area in Illinois. We get off the L. A homeless man is selling a Streetwise, which is the free paper that they sell to the public, and you get $1. It's a way for them to make money, honestly. So the guy asks, like, "Do you want to buy a Streetwise?" And I'm going to give him $1. She says, puts my hand down and says, "No, go ask your parents for money. That's what I do." Like,
She doesn't know anything.
Not believe.
Welcome back to DBL. We're 1 week into the new decade. Ooh, I like that sound effect.
Cool?
And guess what? No flying cars. The Jetsons are not only bad at predictions, but check out some old predictions from real scientists about 2020. Wait 20 years, we're going to talk about that breast thing. All right, instead of eating, they said tiny robots in our blood would feed us?
So I think this means like a parasitic symbiotic relationship. Little robots would help us while digesting the food. We don't have to do it, and you don't have to eat.
Why did they want to kill joy in 2020?
I agree.
Aren't they supposed to put little like robots in our arms to like kill diseases and all?
Yeah, sure.
They're supposed to do that, like little chips and stuff.
Let me get through these before we bash all of them, okay? And women would grow to an average of 6 feet tall. That's what they predicted.
Where are your tallest heels for me?
Wow.
I'm 6'4".
All right, buddy. All right. Calm down. Families would vacation on the moon. All right. No one, you didn't like that one. I like that one. Scientists also thought we'd have bred apes to do household chores by now. Uh-oh, Peter wouldn't like that. And Americans would work only 26 hours a week.
Finland. We just did the story.
We did, but America has gone the opposite route. And finally, they also predicted we'd live past 100 years old. I mean, some people
of us,
right?
Yeah.
Now we could go back to the 6 foot thing.
Oh, if a woman 6 foot, like that's a woman's dream to wear heels on a date, because most guys, what's the average height for men? Like
5'9".
5'9". That's little. You can't play in the NFL.
But the average for a female is 5'3".
There's 5'9" guys in the NFL.
That's like 3.
No, there's a bunch. Those receivers are small and fat.
That's definitely the life goal of everyone. Everyone. It's too short. You can't play in the NFL.
I'm just saying, like, can you wear heels if you were with someone that's 5'9"?
I dated someone for 4 years that was 6'7".
And you loved wearing your highest
We
heel?
looked like a semicolon.
And we're going to move on right there.
Yeah, I don't care.
All right, we're going to do some 2020 predictions, all right, guys? First up is cybercrime. Hackers might have their best year yet. Okay. Reports predict they will steal more personal info from businesses than ever before.
Yeah,
I think that one's given, right?
Totally. I think that everything will be heard, listened to, surveilled. Like, the privacy rights, the expectation of privacy. Whoop.
Absolutely.
That was a
I kind of
great noise.
expect it.
100%.
I kind of expect it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, next, self-checkouts. We see them now at supermarkets, but department stores and restaurants could be next.
Taking more jobs away.
I don't know. I don't know about department stores. I feel like it's easier to slip out with an item. I know it's just as easy at a grocery store, but there's a difference between a 99-cent can of beans and a $200 sweater.
But what if you up the sensors on the thing so it's hard to leave without getting caught?
They have these at the Newark airport.
Wow.
Like, yeah, you just go grab your stuff and then you go walk over to it, you scan it, you pay for it, and then they already know.
Why don't people just take it and go?
Well, you know, honestly.
Because it's under surveillance.
Huh.
I mean, I guess you technically could do that anywhere, but have you seen in our cafeteria, somebody stole a bag of kettle chips and there was a note on the thing saying, you need to pay for your kettle chips.
Whoa,
yeah,
passive aggressive, I love it.
Just so y'all know.
Oh, wow.
They looking for you.
If I see any kettle chip fingers in here,
Anyone have kettle chips?
All right, guys, and finally, deep fake videos. You see them on our show here, but experts predict they will cause major problems during the election.
Yeah, and this is really interesting.
You've seen it already.
I'm not trying to bring this up because of politics, but a congressperson just tweeted a Photoshop picture of Obama with another Iranian president, with the Iranian president, and that didn't actually happen at some point. I'm sorry, he was with the president, he tweeted out a Photoshop. The idea of also manipulating media, changing videos, all of that. Remember, we saw how they can change the facial features. You will not be able to tell it's not the person.
Yeah, there's a video floating around right now of me and Tori being friends.
Not
Total
right.
Deep fake.
It's
It's deep fake. All right, guys, DBL Nation, let us know what you hope to see in 2020. If there's one thing I could predict for sure, it's what's coming up next on DBL. Aha. Oh, you like that? It was in the prompter. We've got the worst questions you could ask your significant other, and later Brad Pitt gets real about his love life. More DBL coming up next.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Goodyear.
Like 5'10", 5'11".
Hey guys, I wanted to talk about
Tyreek Hill and like
Tyreek Hill.
Those guys, but that's a couple.
Come here.
You have to be special to be that size.
What about comments? I have this. Oh, well now we're back. Okay, you can go back. I'm very sorry.
Who wants to do comments
I do.
on the show?
Oh, I just wanted to say something really quick. Jay Adkis says LGBT information is not for strangers to introduce or discuss with someone else's kid. It's not appropriate. Not my child. And then Margot said, I felt the same way, but Tori changed my mind after she clarified they would not be teaching about sex. It'd be teaching about rights and civics. And I think people jump to. You jump to, oh, how do they have sex? Which, by the way, I'd be fine with a middle school.
And I did right away too, so I see how people fall into that because I'm like, what is the proper age? And again, I don't want to get into that, but I thought that was the first thought I had.
Right, but here's the thing, because that shows you how over-sexualized
it is.
Totally. Because everything's been, it's almost
sexual.
like when I said, two women, everyone always gets all excited about it. It's like that's not for the gratuity of men.
Yes.
It's for it's an intimacy between two people. But I would really caution people. I worked with someone and they were adamant about not supporting the LGBTQ population. We were doing an event. Would not stop giving me a hard time about the fact that I was going to do it anyway. His son came out to him immediately after the event. And all of the things that he said, and I'm like, how much did your son hear? Because when you're so concerned, you keep thinking about other people. It could be someone who you love and respect, and now you have to think about, is my love going to be more important than what I've been brought up and raised to think, or what my religious convictions are saying? Like, are you willing, because it's always a risk, are you willing to give up the love of someone who is so precious to you in order to stick with a conviction and not give them every single resource possible so that they have a chance of succeeding in this world? That's where a lot of parents end up. And it could be you.
And I get what people are, your religious convictions and all that, like you said, Erica, but at the same time, we're talking contributions. So to me, it sounds like they didn't want to honor the contributions of African Americans. George Washington Carver, different people inventions that blacks made. So it's kind of sounding like the same thing.
Yeah, I always say history. My professor taught me this. History is written by the winners. You only hear the winners. If you want to hear what actually happened, like Matthew Shepard, and be an educated person in this world, you're going to want to know about events that changed, like don't ask, don't tell, Jim Crow laws. You need to know that to know your history. I have something in my throat.
He who wins the war writes the history.
That's it. The winners write history. That's exactly it.
I'm on fire today.
Evil will always triumph over good because good is dumb.
I'm on fire today.
What is that, Spaceballs?
I got facts. I did the hate.
You got comments?
Yeah. I'm going to do the same. Is that okay?
Welcome back to DBL. We were just having a discussion in the break, and Tori, you actually have comments about it.
Yeah, Jay Adkis wrote us in, and I appreciate writing us in and being honest. They say LGBT information is not for strangers to introduce or discuss with someone else's child. It's most inappropriate, not my child. Now, Margot said, I felt the same way, but Tori and the panel changed my mind after they clarified they would not be teaching about sex. They'd be teaching about rights and civics. And we were kind of going off and saying, if you want to know your history, which is usually written by the winners, you need to know what Don't Ask, Don't Tell is, or who Matthew Shepard is and how that man died, and how that changed a bill and changed rights and made a protected class. That's to be a smart person in this country.
And just think of J. Edgar Hoover. They said that he was gay or bisexual. He's got his own building. He had a movie by LDC. Leonardo DiCaprio played him. So, I mean, come on now.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little more in the break because we got a lot to say. Here's what's coming up next on DBL.
Gwyneth Paltrow wants to start a wellness revolution, but will her new Netflix show do the trick?
This is dangerous.
It's unregulated. Should I be scared?
Or just freak you out? Then, Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio together again, with the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood co-stars are revealing about their personal lives. And the questions that are off limits when it comes to your significant other. Before you open that can of worms, save yourself and watch DBL.
New information today on the devastating Australian wildfires. 24 people are charged with deliberately setting fires there. Yes, you heard me right. That means they started the fires on purpose. The death toll there continues to rise, with more than 25 people killed already. Not to mention the animals who have died. Officials estimate that number could be in the millions. Now I want to show you some intense video coming in today from the Australian Air Force. Take a look at the view from the cockpit. You can see an eerie orange glow from the flames. Australia's 9 News reports the plane was trying to reach one of the hardest hit towns, but the smoke prevented the crew from doing so. Now I want to show you a map just released by ABC News. The superimposed view of Australia over the U.S. shows how much of our country would be on fire if you compare it to what's happening there. DBL Nation, if you want to help, we'll put the information to donate on our social platforms. This has been Fast Blast for you. As always, I'll update you on any breaking news that comes in throughout the shows, and of course, I'll keep you updated on the Australia wildfires. Bye now.
The Consumer Electronics Show is underway in Las Vegas, but this annual event for tech lovers is no longer where you see the big companies hold influential product launches, but it is the spot to spy the big new trends in tech. Let's connect the dots. While CES is still the place companies like Charmin reveal their toilet paper delivering robot, the big boys in tech like Apple, Amazon, Google all unveil their latest products at their own events. But there are still trends to spot, like even sharper TVs. Did you just shell out for a top-of-the-line 4K TV for Christmas? Well, now 8K television is making its debut at CES. The LG model features 4 times as many pixels as 4K, and you've got to admit, that's a lot of pixels. And Samsung is debuting a TV that can go vertical to make it easier to watch social media videos. Apparently that's easier than getting people to shoot horizontal video with their phones. A lot of buzz this year at CES is about 5G. While it can help you download a movie a lot faster, the experts say it's a real game changer for more important things.
Is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to Daily Blast Live. We are live. Let's get started, guys. Tori's favorite person, Gwyneth Paltrow, is coming under fire for her new Netflix series that some say promote reckless and unfound wellness topics like, well, the Goop Lad explores psychedelic drugs, drug therapies, I should say, exorcisms, and orgasm therapy. Let's watch.
What we try to do at Goop is to explore ideas that may seem out there or too scary.
Are you guys ready to go out in the field and make a ruckus?
Just another day at the office.
This is dangerous.
It's unregulated. Should I be scared?
Oh, that looks so good.
Are you just trying to love it? Look,
It does look interesting, though. I'm not
It
going to lie.
does, and I like documentaries that explore new things. And as Eric and I were discussing before, and I'd love to hear more, risk-taking is always you have to be on the edge of something, and you've got to take risks. And you hear someone say that's dangerous or unregulated. It sounds like this isn't too bad. What I worry about, and I'm being honest, I just talked about Gwyneth Paltrow while getting my hair done, and someone said to me in the salon, "Oh, I tried that thing because of her." And I went, "What, the jade eggs?" And she said, "Yeah." And it's when you put eggs inside your a woman's lady parts, and it's supposed to help your muscles and help all that, right? It was so dangerous, they literally got sued because it can be harmful, right? And they had to the Goop owed $145,000. So when you're making medical claims, I'm going to call you out every single time because I know women think a lot about that area, and it should be very particularly cared for in a way that is very different than what she's promoting, in my opinion.
Okay.
So I think that isn't bad. This, I'm kind of interested in seeing. I'm not gonna lie.
But I love what Al Jackson said earlier about how CBD hasn't been regulated. Most CBDs haven't been regulated by the FDA.
That was Jeffrey.
That was Jeff.
Oh, that was Jeff? Oh, my bad. Oh,
I can't say something. I can't
but
say
also,
something smart.
But just think about it like the Love You Long Time pills you
But
can get
CBD
at 7-Eleven.
But CBD has been proven not to be harmful. Some of the things she's promoted have been actually harmful.
But how are these not?
What are you talking about?
Those little packets with the rhino on it
Okay,
at
that's
7-Eleven.
not what we're talking about.
That's a false claim also.
No,
You can sue for that.
No,
well, apparently you've tried it and you think it's false, so I'll trust your opinion.
I haven't tried that.
One, I was going back and forth with you about the jade eggs because Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop wasn't the only company that made jade eggs, and they weren't the only ones who promoted it. So I just wanted to be very clear because I didn't even know that Goop.
A lot of women
did
I
it.
know it from Goop.
Well, a lot of women that I know it from Real Housewives of Atlanta. How about that?
Did they get it from? But did they know it from Gwyneth?
No.
Okay.
Gwyneth is not the queen of everything.
I know that Goop made that thing go stupid, and people started trying
But
it
it was
all
probably
over.
a thing before that.
But this is what I want to talk about, the actual show, because I think what we're seeing, especially on Netflix, there's another show that escapes my mind the name of it. But I watched it, and it's basically this woman's search for female enjoyment for sexual enjoyment. And it's an 8-part series, and it just explores things that most people don't have access to. And it doesn't mean that they don't have access to it because it's perverse or it's dangerous. It's that in your immediate circle, these aren't things that you're talking about. And I think it's important that we have shows like this because there was a time that every single, health or, whatever beauty thing was considered a little suspect or a little cutting edge, and now it's very mainstream. So this gives people an opportunity to maybe find something that hasn't worked for them in the past, maybe something there will work.
I'm not against this. It's just when you make a medical claim and it's proven false, it's not great.
Do Brandon's 7-Eleven pills make an appearance in that special?
I doubt it. But Brandon,
you've never been to 7-Eleven. Okay, never mind.
I get my Slurpee and go.
All right. Your favorite Speaking of going, we're going right now. The Golden Globes were Sunday, but Stephanie Jones, what is everyone still talking about?
Well, Jeff, we can't get enough from the stars who had quite the night in LA over the weekend, like Joey King and Patricia Arquette, who co-starred in The Act. Now, watch closely. They were having loads of fun filming a video for the In Style magazine's after party when Joey hit her head on Patricia's trophy. And then Joey tweeted, "Patricia Arquette accidentally hit me in the head with her Golden Globe. That sentence will give me bragging rights for the rest of my life. And let's be honest, babe, so will that bruise." I mean, it looks pretty bad. And rumor has it that Globes want Amy Poehler and Tina Fey back to co-host the show next year. They both said they were finished hosting after a 3-year run in 2015, but it looks like we'll have to wait and see. And Tom Hanks made us all cry on Sunday after thanking his entire family for an award, including 29-year-old son Chet. But now everyone's talking about him and accusing him of cultural appropriation. Watch this video.
Big up the whole island, massive. It's your boy Chetana, coming straight from the Golden Globes, you want to say? Me father Tom Hanks presenting in a what soon forward come. Big up, tune in.
Okay, so now he's doubling down with a follow-up video, and here he is, accent in tow, talking about how much the first video has blown up. So, panel, what are we thinking about this?
What's there to think about? The man is high.
Yeah, that's a good guess. That's a good guess.
I mean, Erica's like, I don't want to talk about it. Why he's high? Like, there's no dissecting. We don't have to, like, go into it.
Well,
he is high.
It was a Jamaican patois. That was the accent, and I think he came up with it because of what Erica said. I think she was right.
And then the next day, after he waked and baked, he followed up with something else. I mean, no judgment. I'm just calling it like I see it. My eyes are wider than his right now.
Stephanie, let me ask you this.
My eyes are wider than
Stephanie, let me ask you this. If he was in front of an Italian restaurant doing an Italian accent, would we be having this conversation right now?
I'll be honest, I don't think we probably would as much now.
So do you find this offensive? Does anyone find this offensive?
I don't find it offensive. I just think it's stupid. I mean,
that's okay.
Plus, I think he's doubling down because he saw how much attention he got, so he's doing it again. I never knew who this person was before I saw this on the Shade Room, but now he's doing it again.
Does it cross over, you think, Steph, into cultural appropriation?
I think that's literally down to the individual and what does and doesn't offend you. Like we all discuss on the panel. Like Erica said, I think that maybe he's enjoyed himself a little bit too much in the public eye, but he should definitely leave the acting and accents to his dad.
Steph, are you mad when I walk around here and do a British accent sometimes?
I hear it all day long. I've had to get used to it, haven't I?
I just don't want to offend you.
No, you don't.
I do it too.
I do it too.
I can't help it. Sometimes I do it. She's not even around.
Everyone does it.
Sorry,
what
Steph.
offends me more is the fact that most people, generally in America, don't know if I'm Australian or not. I get asked about Australia, honestly, on a daily basis.
Are you an Aussie? Yeah, that's a no.
Apparently so. Yeah.
All right, Steph, thank you.
Thank you.
You sound so bad, though, Jeff.
Mine's perfect.
You sound awful.
I thought I was like Steph's brother.
Oh, God.
All right, we're going to move on here. Speaking of brothers, these guys could be my brothers, right? Once upon a time in Hollywood, co-stars Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, my brothers, are together again, this time for a podcast with celebrity friend Mark Maron. He asked,
Maron.
Mark Maron. He asked the actors how to pronounce his last name and when they knew they had a big hit. Leo says it was when his little movie Titanic came out. Let's listen.
And I went to like the liquor store to get a soda, and there were the SUVs, and then they just kept following me. Every day of my life.
Right.
And it was, I was like,
day.
okay, this life will no longer be the same.
That happens to this day.
No, it doesn't.
Not anymore.
Doesn't?
No, it doesn't. Not as much anymore.
I'm a little disgruntled with you now that I hear that. Because my disaster of a personal life, probably.
So was there a moment for you guys when, like, Brandon, I know you were in the NFL. Was there a moment when you knew, maybe before or maybe after you were getting drafted, when you knew your life was going to change? Was that a moment for you? I don't know.
Stop looking at me, Erica.
What?
I'm being serious.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. I think, and this is back
or you
to
could
my,
use a different one. I'm just guessing.
I think it was a moment when I felt like I arrived, and this may seem trivial. It was back when I was playing for the Miami Dolphins in 2009. We went to the playoffs that year, and we're going to, that club Live that everyone talks about, all the rappers talk about.
Yeah.
There's like a huge line in the lobby to get in, and me, Anthony Fasano, and I think it was Ronnie Brown. We all just walk up. The bouncers just let us in, like we walked right through, and I was like, you know what? They're recognizing who we are here in Miami, and it was just like all this hard work, all that time waking up 5 a.m., putting in work. It's kind of paid off, and that was that trivial life that I was all about back in the day. But it was just, the little things.
Yeah.
Like cutting line. And feeling like
it's little things.
It's anything.
Yeah.
Do you have a moment like where you knew your life was going to take off or is going to take off?
I will tell you a moment that I thought but no one would know. I was an actress in University of Michigan on a movie, and it was like a student film, but it was like a really good student film, right? And we were in a big auditorium. My parents flew out to see it, and in the dark of the movie light, I kind of looked over and I saw my dad looking at me on the big screen, and he was laughing like his real laugh. You know how your dad's like a real laugh?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I had pictured that moment since the day I was born of like entertaining people on the screen, and I was sort of seeing it from an out-of-body experience of my face on that screen and him enjoying it. I'm sure it was about my dad's validation, but really that's when I felt like, okay, I got something here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a moment, Erica? I know you did radio.
Yeah,
no, it is cool. It's very cool.
I won't get as emotional as I talked about last time, but so I did end up on the biggest morning show in Chicago, which was my hometown, which was like such a big deal because I'm a hometown girl and I get to do this to my people.
Yeah.
But then 10 years or so later, I'm in Denver thinking I don't know where my life is going, and I fly to LA to audition for this show, which was in Denver.
Yeah.
So it taught me that, especially the second time, it's not about trying to get there, it's about preparing here to come to you.
Wow.
There to come here.
That's
like you.
Yeah, I totally believe in all that. Like, I don't want to get into too deep, but I did some reality television, in case you didn't know. It's kind of what launched me. But it was before I was on that show that kind of made me see who I was. I kind of lost who I was, I should say. You know, I wasn't in a positive place, and I had this boss who made me listen to positivity over and over and over again. Before I'd get on the phones, I did telemarketing. 1, 2, 3, 4 hours a day, I'd listen to positivity, and my boss slowly but surely saw me coming around. I saw me coming around, and he came to me one day after months and months, years even, and he's like, your friends see you, your family, I do, we all see you in a different light. And for the first time in a long time, I saw myself in a different light. And he goes, your big opportunity is around the corner. And a week later, I got Big Brother. And it wasn't so much that Big Brother launched me. It definitely was. I wouldn't be here without that man, without the show. But it was the moment when I believed in myself and I believed in that positivity.
Things switched.
And I saw a change within myself.
You look different, I think. You look physically
so
different.
that was a moment. And I love talking about things like that because everyone has that moment. And if you don't, you could make that happen. It's very easy. Just start believing in yourself and you'll have that moment. It might not take a week or a month or a year, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen for you. Got a little deep there.
Beautiful.
Sorry. All right, guys, coming up on DBL, watch how a young hockey family lives out their hockey dreams. Sorry, I was all caught up in the moment. And gets honored in a way she never expected. Don't miss this powerful Heart Threads. But first, we're helping you keep the peace at home. We've got the top questions you should never ask your significant other. Stick around, it's going to be good.
Who's responsible for the deaths of Russell and Shirley Dermond? Investigative reporter Jessica Knoll joins us to dive deeper into the case in DBL's True Crime Chronicles. Join the conversation on the next DBL.
Another better one. I got another better one because I feel like mine was vain, especially after hearing y'all's.
No, I've had that.
You know what I mean?
Do,
you know what I mean, Erica?
I remember driving down Michigan Avenue, or not Michigan, where's the Excalibur? Whatever street. This big street in Chicago. And we looked up, and I was 3 stories.
By Weed Street? No.
It's across the street from Rock and Roll McDonald's. Actually, it's not. It's
Ohio?
like over in that area. Yeah, Ohio.
Yeah.
And it was 3 stories tall.
Oh, you're a billboard?
Oh,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
straight down
It
the
looked
building.
like a castle.
And I was like, that was a place that when
Ontario
growing up,
or
I always
Ohio?
just wanted to see what it looked like on the inside.
And then you're there.
And then I was like, oh my God.
I mean, when we saw ourselves on a
Was it
bus,
Ontario?
I was like,
okay.
Yeah.
So here's my real one. That's not so vain. So when I was an undrafted free agent out of the University of Massachusetts, and the first day of rookie camp with the New York Giants, I was the only one that wore a suit. And I showed up in a suit. Everybody else was in sweats and stuff, and everybody's looking at me like, I was like, man, I'm here for business. You know, I'm not guaranteed a spot. So I'm walking in the locker room. We're taking our physicals and stuff. And I'm walking and I look up, and there was Eli Manning and Plaxico Burress just standing right there. And I'm sitting there like, Plaxico's from Virginia.
Dude.
He's from the 757 in Virginia. He went to Fork Union Military Academy. I went to Fork Union Military Academy. And it was just, I'm sitting there staring like, those are the guys those are the guys you play with on Madden. Those are the guys that when you're working out, you're like, I hope I can catch a ball from Eli one day or run routes with Plax. So that right there hit me. And
when you saw them and you were in the same space.
It was huge. And the first day of meetings, I made sure I wore my Fork Union Military Academy.
So in case
Plaxico saw me because he's a wide receiver, and he said, sit right here. He said, I'm going to teach you everything I know. And that year, I just grew exponentially.
Wow.
What was it like catching that first pass from Eli?
It was huge because I almost got cut my rookie year in the first training camp because I was dropping so many balls, but then I came around towards
What
the
made
end.
you change? What changed?
You got to finish this story. We're out of time, but you got to finish this story.
It was the 4 catches, 3, 2.
Am I in one of them?
That made you like, I'm good.
Welcome back to DBL. Are you getting on your partner's nerves without even knowing it? I would have to answer yes. Here are some of the questions you should never ask your significant other. First up, are you mad at me? GQ magazine says this is a big no-no. Instead, experts suggest saying, is something on your mind?
Ooh, this is nice. Let me write this down.
There you go, Brandon.
Yeah, you should be taking detailed notes. In a new relationship.
Here we go.
Detailed notes. Yeah.
How do you do it?
Okay, this is about.
I should take notes too.
Right. Michael Dean said this in the meeting. He's a senior producer, and I thought it was great. Say this. Hey, I've noticed your mood or attitudes change. There's something going on. And that puts the responsibility away from the person and says it more like an observer. I've noticed this.
Okay, let's practice.
Okay, ready? Hey.
Hey, Erica, I noticed your mood has changed a little bit since I've gotten on this panel. Is something going on?
Why you think it's always about you?
Okay, I'll take that. She was nice enough. She was nice enough.
This is, see, I go with, are we not friends? Or if it's on the post side, I say, are we friends again?
Are we friends again?
There you go, Brandon. Write that down.
Keeps it friend.
That's cute. That's good. That's
All right,
good.
we got some more for you, Brandon. Keep that pen handy. All right, another question you should never ask your partner according to Lifehack. Why can't you just relax? I'm guilty of this.
Really?
This is basically saying the same thing, calm down, and no one wants to hear that. Listen, how do you tell someone, though, to like,
see, it's
calm
this
down?
it's this motion.
No, but if I'm saying, like, listen, calm down, it's not that serious. Like, I'm not telling you.
I'm telling you, this is the hack. This goes straight in.
Okay, write this down.
It will win every time.
Okay, I like one.
What you do
in life
is
echoes in eternity? Sorry.
Gladiator.
No. You do something generous or that takes something off the other person's plate. Because generally, they can be like overwhelmed or, you know, there is something going on. And if you do something like there's a bunch of things in the dishwasher, whatever it is, and you do that, then they can't help but have like a little bit of guilt, and then they just kind of
So instead of saying calm down, do one chore that can do a household task. That's good. That's
so when
real
my
good.
wife's acting crazy, just start sweeping.
Yeah. Don't sweep like a Disney movie. Just sweep.
Just go around to her until she says something.
Yeah.
Good hack. Good hack. Write that one down, Brandon.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Up next, if you knew it would make you feel uncomfortable. Wait, hold on a second.
Go
Do this
back.
back. If you knew it would make me uncomfortable, then why did you bring it up? I read it off of there. Experts say instead of asking this question, sometimes you just have to accept the parts of yourself that you may not like so much. That was deep. That was too deep.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Things only affect you if you think personally you haven't released them.
Well, what part of me do I not like? This one's stupid.
It was deep. This one was deep. But you got to look yourself in the mirror.
Right. You can't be mad at yourself because somebody mad at somebody else because somebody highlighted something that you're feeling in your feelings about.
Okay, I will say this though, and this is something I don't know if it's women or just me or some people. When I'm embarrassed by someone that said something about me that's a reflection of me, I lash out.
Okay. What do you
I
mean
get angry
if
instead
it
of being
hits close to
embarrassed.
home?
Yes.
Oh,
It's
so
a defense.
Yeah.
I get angry and I'll put you
most
down.
people do.
Right,
Most
and
people
I got to work on that.
So I get in my feelings a lot. Do you get in your feelings a lot?
I think I do.
Like, so how do I? Come on, give me something.
See, this is actually really good, especially for people who are on social media a lot. When things affect you like that, you know that you're in your feelings about it, write it down and make a troubleshooting list, because there's something about that you need to take power out of. And if you start extracting power from all these things that are like your points, people can't touch you.
And they say we don't like each other.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
That's the thing. I see all your points.
I like it. Coming up on DBL, a young hockey fan battles for her life and in doing so inspires an entire community. Her story is next in Hard Threads. You don't want to miss it.
Hi guys, I'm here to guide you to your nearest exit. This is in honor of Peter, the pilot for The Bachelor.
Yay!
So, Bachelor started last night, so Travis, Angelica, and I are here to break it down. What do you guys think?
I need support emotional animal as well for the 3-hour episode.
Right? It was a little long.
They were extra dramatic. this.
With Hannah.
Yeah.
I'm all about that Hannah Brown coming back. If you don't know, she was the previous Bachelorette. She had Peter on her season. She let him go. Clearly a mistake, guys. I think they could be together, don't you? She never should have let him go.
She clearly still has feelings.
So the episode ends, right, with us not knowing if she's going to stay or not.
Yep.
So what do you guys think?
I think she'll stay.
You
and
do?
She'll compete against the other Hannah.
You do?
No, I think she'll be there for one more episode. The girls are going to get so mad.
They're going to get savage and brutal, and it'll be so bad for her that she'll be like, no, I can't stay.
Well, she spent more time on ABC with Dancing with the Stars.
So that's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying, obviously, producers made her do this because she was still under contract with ABC, so she kind of couldn't say no when they asked her to come on, but I don't think that's even the case. I think she's in love with him still.
Yeah.
I think she realizes I made a mistake picking whatever his name was. What was his name? Jed?
Jed?
Yeah, ew, gross. Like, so gross. So DBL Nation, let us know what you think about The Bachelor. Are you watching this season? Are you over it? I think for all of us, it's just like a guilty pleasure. We know it's bad TV, but for us,
watch it with us.
It's the best. Watch it with us and let us know what you think. Bye.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Hard Threads is all about a young hockey fan who has gained many fans of her own. Watch how she's inspired an entire community.
This Blues superfan was officially enshrined in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Layla Anderson was diagnosed with HLH, a rare autoimmune disease. Layla found a support system in the Blues after meeting them while trick-or-treating at St. Louis Children's Hospital.
Just to know that all these boys support me is unreal.
As they all sought the perfect bone marrow donor to save Layla's life, friends and family wore Layla Strong bracelets to support her cause. Her friend Lucas wore one during a family trip to the Hockey Hall of Fame. While there, he felt that Layla needed a permanent place in Blues history, so he shared her story with the museum curator.
I told him it's Layla Anderson, the Layla Anderson, the girl who inspired a city.
Now the Layla Strong wristbands are officially enshrined in the exhibit.
For them to try so hard to get it in and it actually worked just meant so much to me.
Layla has since found a bone marrow match and is cured of HLH.
The Layla Anderson is an inspiration. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty Blast. I'm Jeray Banks, but you might know me at Jeray for the Slay on all social media platforms. So today we're talking about skin that slays. And today's question actually came from a viewer who asked, how do I create a skincare regimen? Now, this is actually really popular, guys. A lot of people don't know how to create their skincare regimen or routine. So I put together a simple 6-step for a twice-a-day skincare routine, okay? Now, for morning or daytime, you wanna start your day off with cleansing / toning. Now, I put a slash layer because not everyone needs to overly cleanse their skin morning and night. Some people are better off just toning in the morning. With doing more of a cleanse or tone in the morning, you want to make sure that you're not over-processing your skin in the daytime. This is going to mean that your skin feels dry or overly irritated when you cleanse in the morning. Maybe when you're doing that, you instead want to move over to a toner. So step 1 is cleanse or tone in the morning. Figure out what your skin likes better. Now step 2 is going to be applying an eye cream. My favorite for daytime is a tinted eye cream. And these guys are great for making sure that you're concealing slightly without having to wear full concealer underneath your eye. Sometimes we're just going day to day or running to the grocery store real quick and you want that quick pick-me-up. Now, number 3 is going to be utilizing a serum in your skincare routine. These guys are great for really giving you that vitamin of nutrient that you need for that change in your skin. So sometimes you're using a retinol, sometimes a vitamin C, or sometimes a vitamin E serum to really boost up your skin regimen in general. Second to last, we're going to be looking at a moisturizer, something to really emulsify and hydrate your skin to make sure that your skin is looking its best and most hydrated that it can possibly look and be and feel that way too. And last but not least, you want to go ahead and put on some SPF for your daytime. Now this can be in your daytime moisturizer, but the best way to have some sun protection is going to be utilizing a separate SPF. So some great ones out there is the Pierre Thomas Roth powder, maybe Skin Science, and a lot more out there. Now, if you guys have more questions, feel free to write in at Jure for the Slay on all social media platforms. And while you're there, go ahead and follow, click a like or two, and I'll holla back at you, boo. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back to DBL. We're only a week into the new year, and we've got our first viral video. Apparently, this is how you peel a hard-boiled egg. All right, there you go. That's how you do it.
Okay.
We don't have a faucet, Tori, but there's cold water in there.
Okay.
Drum roll. Shake that thing.
Are you trying to crack the egg in there?
No, I'm kind of trying to do like a nice in between.
Okay.
Like a kind of a margarita shake.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Shake and not stir, right?
There you go. That's right.
So.
Sorry. Here we go.
All right, let's see.
3, 2.
Ah, must be one of them goop eggs.
It didn't work, huh?
Oh, it didn't work.
See? Hashtag click bait.
You know what a good way to do that is like take a spoon and get in there.
Oh, I just roll it with a paper towel.
And it comes off?
Yeah, because it crackles.
That works.
Yeah.
None of these things work.
Yeah. Just sunny side up. We'll see you guys tomorrow.